Well, Busavo, good evening, and thank you for joining us on Jasu Jumedi live on 101.7 FM and your partner radio stations. Migacho FM Peki live Kukren to me, and we're also live on Kings Jersey Radio, New Jersey. We are live as well in Virginia, High Life Radio, or live also or National Radio, Kuku Spence and any team, UK. We are also live. France and Belgium on Adamfopa. So thank you, Senumri, what joining. Your friend Vim Lady. And then we have two key areas I be focusing on. Number one, we'll look at update on America President Donald Trump deportation or the Atungo force. Of course, we are concerned more about the Ghana for those who are on the deportation list. So we want to know what is happening now, because right now, all the lawyers, Ghanaian lawyers or more American come boom to help their brothers and sisters and even other African countries, because these are critical times. What they've decided to do is that amongst now, because they've also realized, there are also other people who are abusing these Ghanaians. And most people, when they go to America, so they have to struggle with the system, work, any idea, so people are also abusing the Ghanaians in America. So all the Ghanaian lawyers in America have come together consistently since Donald Trump did deportation. They've been giving them information. They've even engaged Ghana embassy for so young man. Said the minister, foreign affairs minister, Okujeto Black announced, so far, Omo ayetichi omo nan say ni the Ghana for shut down can, but we'll ask a lawyer near Manama a list of how many Ghanaians are on the list now. Because now for deportation list so that, but some of them had lawyers, so they were going through the process. And then the second part of the program we'll come back and talk about corruption. Because I know what's here. OSP, U10. You see, more you can OSP as someone. You all ganged up and insulted us now. Fire burn you for want of a better expression. Fire burn you people. You see, you can't about law. On legal issue as here. Men politics and make it can say no. Many politics and make can say no. Between NDC and NPP supporters, you people want to reduce every issue to politics when it's not even about politics. OSP issue, no, a legal issue. Also, the Charlie era, Kenopoyatan, a legal issue, and you political matters. You because court, you're quiet for political matters, also a criminal act, political issue be a legal issue. Any charge I would bet to a bisono. I was so prove it in court. So when prove judge has no option but to let the person go. Because any judge let you want to be prove your mouth. Wow, prosecuting Nipan. What are you with you be prove it? And the OSP by in the press conference, first one, I declare for Attah fugitive. You know, so for Attah than who he. Because Attah Ghana as a finance minister, we all know what he did. Because a Jumana, any politicians go now, mom. And then MPP from Kwana, Ghana, they are to Abama, they want to Abama, you are doing the job for everybody. So what I say? And then so for your demand, so and even to the extent say, MP scratch all letter, comma, a year first, President Kufuor at the time, said Pamuni, not 10 shimra from 28. Indeed, the happy to for your time, another cry is to be blamed. Or my penny, another is to be blamed. I don't know when Tiam and uncle. Sometimes when the kitchen is hot, you need to step out of the kitchen. Step out of the kitchen. Let Jim from Waba. So, but OSP, you can't go for the you should charge him. And I am comfort. It does not lie in your mouth to determine whether it will be a comfort or not. Will be a comfort a court next day. And you want because then you want when no cavities in there go. I mean, the back of my head declare will be a comfort. No, it does not lie in your mouth to declare will be a comfort. And your court to pay. Even the OSP cannot determine to be a comfort. Court and a Ghanaian according case court. The OSP does not have any power to determine anybody's comfort level. It's only a court that can do it. Only the end of the charge, based on prima facie element of established, say, chrono no, ocean law ni ma. As I say, what you be there? What for be there from Benkum to Nifa? What appropriate idea? No, say qualifier, not the charge about, not the work of court, so that the court will determine. And the other one, OSP say, why are you 10? Or no one can say, Ofori a fugitive, but on your fugitive. Say there, Ofori a wanted, but I'm not trying a lawyer. So they are waiting for him to report himself. Because which of our lawyers no letters or the buyer technically fugitive definition unqualified. Because one trouble letter say Nipano I say where are you as a present? I'm here, but mini Ghana, me wa America, me wa Minnesota, mama the address of the hospital. Open verify OSP could just have written or even called Mayo Clinic to say that I'm passing as or more. Because we have a legal document that the person says, or more patient or moana. He could have easily done it. It will check or a brofu, normal brofu, normal brofu, the definition of fugitive. A can of yat and count. In the OSPC, on an account about Fedo Obwa. Why are you embarrassing yourself? So, you know any more on him. Or you'll be alone or being shit. Wash it. But instead, I me go to Facebook and confirm someone confirm the embedded attempt. Who did he attempt till thy kingdom come? It won't change the facts. It won't change the law. Said the law, and it's here. And Moody attempt, and then OSP Ababeka say, we change it, you know, it's the same then. Because the definition is a person such as a criminal or a suspect or a witness who tries to elude law enforcement, especially by fleeing the jurisdiction. Nipa no say anything flee no we journey jurisdiction but watch us me doctor ni doctor assign letter the doctor dey stamp aboso or the logo aka ho say nipa no ha obey surgery match. Is this somebody who is fleeing? And the lawyers actual, is this somebody who is fleeing? And the OSP na kasa your U10. You see, this is why a case is called court no because technicality say o ko jina judge bienim na ko catch say issue a bench and coach that don't say it. Even in the case of Akotia MPDA Abeya Abrano, they say court are convicting for contempt. No, it's not a final issue. They say court Akotia MP court say we're convicting of contempt. More it will be a and I end the judge Becca and I judge Becca the end. So what I said you for court now ube level. Court the ending Guasamo. Court to your president to your MP, ye need say who court. And the MP guy or court now court now contempt is an court can be nowhere in this court to my direction, no one fast direction, no court to my content nowhere in this one, and your contempt or can't send be na ubuso blatantly. Court I can't say was on yet. Court to see you, I will say on yet. Court to say brand say what's on yet. Now when you're reasonable and more and excuse be, I can't say court now contempt. Lot for baby, I chill baby for contempt that. You best side too, says here. And the Akotian to so no one wanted no money at all. But you see, and it's not here final because Akotian Pino lawyers able to make appeal against the conviction. Court I have put near what we did the WHO. Court to near womu grade. You womu grade, your court ketwa, your court a year a infinity. And your court, as someone in I want to ask you the back appeals court. And your court, Muninamaga Supreme Court. It's not a done deal. He can go to court of appeal because a high court now a decision so much convicting. And you bet me a court, a appeal court overturning. No, but you see, court to be a mouth can say another court in him tia. See contempt issue no. Judgment never has a MP. I want to swear your parliament. What was it? National to go to my parliament or Metano Abontin. Inside parliament, they will not arrest him. But Metano Abontin, we are so clear Bontin, parliament, how far a children month see or soon, I know much. Because the court order. And here I told you, I'm my for politics, and you're focusing on the needful, the necessary, the important. Never couldn't answer. And then we also look at this oral issue. No, you're at the middle of one warning that I say, look. Oh no, and no. What we What the money out there? We a full soldier. Not party one. And then one can for opening. Then opening or you bro cheese with you. Or you bro cheese with you. It does not lie like I'm saying. So remember this thing. It does not lie in your mouth. You will move. One the boss I am no cry. Mr. Medical say that for man can far paper home. And that for one prosecution. And that for man can far paper home. And not from. Into enough from so you be jail. Enough from so because nobody discuss say from Rollins Abreso President Kufo winning elections. And MPP for say, it's what discuss Uncle Siaga. How many cases were they able to prosecute? How many cases? President Kufuor now even Chachichi crowd prosecuting the case gonna for man pardon. And Chachichi went to court, Supreme Court for interpretation. One of the charges are willfully causing financial loss to the state. But then now politicians said you that die and almost said you Jimmy John. John. No man buy a jelly way for state lands. State lands, NBC MPP no normal fa. State lands, NBC MPP na normal fa. NBC under Rollins. But the Abraham Metama be free a green belt and Kruma Jay, almost 20 in NBC. Take diversity implementation committee. Yet you are town and buying companies. Before buy a Jake Numan Koto, and buying sending a buyer dying. Okude tomo de court and Kosiaga, even in the case of Jake, a court to rule is a statutory body and what Thomas Jake, Jake in Fanadi. There are so many cases between NBC and MPP. Or more town near Mano, Bankraba Muridi. Sabi Brumanu Shesumatu, Jimmy say, Jimmy Jimmy, a vaccine cover, and away on my fang and that of paper me or no man to feed. Okay, could you tabla pane, some George, my mobile the go one more. Unless we change the law. They said the name President Tekase, Wakoya asset declaration. It's a useless asset declaration. Domain level crack catcher president. Domain level or catcher president say a useless asset declaration. What asset declaration ye declare? Ye declare to public. Also, person checking corruption into who declare assets. From Rollins, more time, asset declaration law, never any nano. Ye to me, in the public, you still a phrase, Abyssinia asset declaration. A goggles asset declaration. Asset, I would declare Ghanaian be and himself declare asset, and I told me declare asset. Who declare asset? Not here, not cars send our, not dance send our, not spectacle send our, not shoes send our, not tire send our. That's when we are talking. And when a domain catcher president say, and country no change law, no public asset declaration. Well, we're going in our to Mama. What better ask about me or Canada, Japan in the future, whoever you can get access. It's the president is so declining assets. Minister Bibano also declining assets. Said we could you to black as airport is warranty. You can as a citizen. That's what they do. America, that's what they do. You can get access to Nippon record, no, so we declining asset. And then you can check any Nippon or car too. Or cars in it is so free power. That's all declining asset. Let me check it. Now, when I fed the car, I train about 20. Then we can check. Now, I say declaration, pass the asset declaration. But you see, between NDC and MPP, they will never change the law. Between NDC and MPP, asset declaration law, almost a sad. Because it's NDC and MPP. CPP better now so that since and chroma a coy. PNC cried your bobo, she said, cried your moguno, Omatoma, NDC. Omo Macano, so the Apalumoni, Adomsoma Tom, the MPP. So between NDC and MPP, or more a funny man. In 2001, they change the law, because constitution or more, they want to me to change it. So they won't change it to that. I say, I say declaration, but you so let's go to your first issue about the other issues. Just near from Vim Lady. And we are live on OKFM, any partner radio stations, High Life Radio, Kings Jersey Radio, NASPA FM, and Adam Fupa Media, BBI or Honum, Namigacho FM, so your home. Until we are starting with the deportation issue, then we'll come back to asset declaration, and the corruption, any Sika Biakema or see a Koji, but now who go collect them? The people who are to collect the Sikano, the same people who are chopping. Yeah? What they call parliament is NDC and MPP for no year negotiations. So, almost year negotiations. So, TV now, we don't know we are not better social media now do data once they need the attempt. Moya Mr. Adam Moya Moboso. The people who are sharing the oil blocks, no, oil deals, no, gold concessions, no, almost NDC MPP. Or more and this MPP now so do 5 CD data now they are big attempts and now they are too hot. So of course I understand yes I'll be depression because I don't know what they are and Dawson. Do the attempts I know I could still many years in still no man no papa mo oh radin yakopon and so particular fire and you are still following them. Meanwhile, the real issues now was you start to question omono. We are not questioning them. We are yes, and they'll continue to fool us. Go won't say on my acquaintance back no misleading and say munkokon. We anyway munkokon. Say Council of State. That be we are Council of State elections. You can't talk about Council of State. Council of State. You don't go as you Council of State. Minti important. So you Council of State elections on. Now, NDC for one Council of State. If you to Papa Ben, I'm the my president. Council of State is supposed to be broad, across board, because in NDC for one taxes. It's supposed to be even independent people are present in chairman. It's supposed to be other people or more opposing ideas. Now, people time intimates are called joining a Council of State. And then the Council of State in Kofu bribe openly near botch idea. Ghana, you're good and it's a big shame to us as Ghanaians that Council of State election. Now, in Kwalan, because more baby, no come start a class of mutual net. And give my own your say the Chinese was net in the cry and cheapy mount. Meanwhile, politician or coffee and then yes, Gasha is secure. Mama, what to say I can ask Gasha has him. Nobody will change it. Because peace no benefit in no more change or no cause of change. You change it. Yeah, see that yes, so any leaders in the world. So let's go to the deportation issue and we'll come back to the corruption. No, and then any first saying AK Poku law firm or more senior lawyer and founder. You about a queer or here Chiniabuaji Esquire or no a lawyer or Ghana lawyer or US into no best starting. No, my idea no Trump and go for him. And as I say, what side you Ghana embassy no so my problem approach them. But said them can Ghana lawyers no more American in na back. So now my Trump be do among crop for any. The two here helper, they have places where you can go. Omo sessions, Zoom near the TB. Now I'm more beyond Conco Sisu. Because the fear and panic near this week in Virginia, Omo be swank or former. But I don't know him. Omo himself mo warehouse if one horse I Latino for you. Cause swank or phone and I just said, Madam will be a just next door. And I'll try video no they send me. I'll see if I can play the video. But I can't say, Mama, good evening, Yakaba.
Good evening.
Ghana also that why you what say what that je kakra my because you some we are very busy you know on that just it's just about my updates say so far Trump Ogusu Cheche Ghana for like immigrants nana what is happening now.
Okay, thank you for having me. Michia with you for so far, as we've been saying, there's a lot of a system and a confusion. So I basa na Trump strategy ne home say confusion ne who ebeche amount for no moon who nyom na ebia park your moneyma efikrom ha na ebi so mombe lucy guard into no ice. It's me jina okra na wakoke kansema any se oka na obeye ye na maybe ense se obeye na omitimi e di omunsa account. As to the numbers ni there again confusion ni chaos a part of almost strategy. So o share ne ekoso na ICE and Kasano, they don't have any website to be my live updates about who has been detained so far. Your Twitter account, social media, and White House Facebook page. And as of, I believe, early February, last statistics. For a while now, your numbers almost is just rumor. And Tom Homan, Bodaza, Nakase, surprises an element or mobile you see because you see surprise and not much or unaware, since too much information into the rumors in the into there's not that much transparency in the numbers, no much and more criminal profiles in the crowd because to say before Trump buy about 5 priorities. Every US government obia enforcement priorities because there's limited resources. Just as Sika ni ho bebre yede be an endless job into so to be prioritized. Okay, top 5 in Kofo way omo na ye kwa chichi omo. Number one, undocumented immigrants. Omo be rare mo crap papers. And as omo the papers be rare mo omo overstay omo papers. Omo no mo undocumented. But I know more per se. Omo saying crack criminal records, gang members, threat to national security. Number two, undocumented. Almost what criminal records are. I know she too much, but more criminal records is a fraud. It be a assault, wahaka, battery, waha. So far numbers no much chino. It be fra. Almost needs our criminal records no.
You see, fra.
There are reports coming out about in fact, yes, calls from Nkophobia almost your chebe papa no driving only criminal record or you're just undocumented. At this point, it's very hard to verify the exact numbers, what the profiles are of the people now.
But you always say Ghana for be they've been caught in this because also borders are they say you so surprised. Just chink of money no more. That's serious.
That's very serious.
Because I think Ghana for be quite duma. Everyone not to him when a duma also pay baby for this is fear and panic and alarm.
Yeah. Well, as at end of January, I spoke to head of consular affairs for Ghana embassy in DC, and ICE had reached out to them. In fact, emergency convocation Ghana for Bekasaye. We had over 1,000 registrants who were on the call on the Zoom, and according to him, ICE had contacted them and told them that they have to speed up process because when there are people in detention who are Ghanaians, the Ghana embassy will prepare travel documents. Then ICE will buy their tickets, and then once they have travel documents, they can bundle them up. And according to him, I believe it was 136 that ICE confirmed to the embassy said they were in detention. I understand, say, Minister of Foreign Affairs has subsequent to this said it be 157. So I don't know, say be a numbers not
okay.
It's possible say be a bekaho. And there were some links floating around from Fox News. It had numbers of people who had through immigration processor. Immigration judge has found that, as I say, United States. I believe Ghana that number was 3,228, and also the embassy also confirmed with ICE, and ICE said yes, these are actually numbers, but the numbers are not static. They change all the time because what happens is that say Obi go through the immigration process, go through immigration court's due process. He's had his day in court. He's asserted reliefs available to him. Maybe a judge in the crack has okay, it doesn't matter. You must still be removed from the United States. After that, you've been ordered deported, but there are still avenues to still get green cards and US citizenship. In the end, they say the visa and we're overstaying for the past 15 years. And chill. Be a now driving and a police chill no transfer to ICE. Now ICE say, need permission to be in the United States. It's the whole court to swear asylum, only asylum claim. But while I will go through process, maybe I will fat process, maybe 3 years, which she a US citizen woman. I'll say, okay, I love you, I want to get married to you. Don't worry. Once you get married, there's a process to terminate the case in court. But the process not say your order or deported go back to court to have something called motion to reopen. To reopen, well, you first of all rescind removal order, and that's all based on certain grounds, where you open, and then you can have an adjustment of status and as apply for your green card in court. Some numbers no not a change because some people may have found reliefs. Attorney, something has come up, they have a new or buy a US citizen child. If you are court now 18 years. Later on, absolutely. Now, our available relief into you can go back to court and say, okay, me old order nearly open. Sometimes we will removal deportation, our own name crash or removal deportation. I know your friend removal in absentia. And only you say the Kofiato so on some papers, one court intino. they've removed you, I wouldn't even say you remove you. If you can show, say, oh, man, to say court frame, you can show that with evidence, and also so to make deportation, and then they can reopen your case. These numbers evolve all the time. Some of them almost be a normal almost, and I said they've been ordered deported, but subsequently, almost bet me I be afa amasa numbers no I conform and I say I control.
Okay, internet is the numbers now. Just say, but confirming the way you can say I say for no much channel. Ghana embassy. I'm afraid Ghana embassy na catch say for 136 they are ready to move for passport tomorrow.
Yes, travel documents, prepare travel documents, and make sure say BBI fast. Because now some of the countries and so play where no person delay.
Travel document now normal someone
reviewed on a case-by-case basis because there's some review with the citizenship status any pani yampa or your Ghanaian now back obia keken almost also one process almost to confirm say any pani your Ghanaian before they can go ahead and issue whatever travel documents.
Wow, according to ICE for no more Ghana for 136. Minister
say 29th January.
Okay. You bet me about say see
highly possible. So be a more ICE detention. Absolutely.
It cancel let me say because say the ICE so they say money. They say no price na file will be a mon. Pay be an sisro. Nti
yeah.
Ghana for me, you say Munina my back, say more boy Ghana for with information. So don't be who koha nanti ha men nanti amwana eli ambeka say a year sene part Ghana for so do mo obi ni paper obi on my party now no cutting hot so ko obi answer free obi nya free no akọ bubi we shall have people Germany or boya or she for am ka do upo just no I say oni paper ti no no dey tin hot so some panic now I suppose they create say they are advice now the Ghana for especially money paper no imagine kuta for there person mechanic say no the year adwuma e go from a student but so the student visa and amount just 20 hours pay they be I do be there the ala be one chain what would be the advice some ko adwuma na monko
asem no who I am shishipa, what's going on, very destabilizing, people are disoriented, yes, in Kofa yes. Very confused, or are very worried, and understandably so. And as initially, even before Trump the advice that we were given, know your rights, you have to know Fourth Amendment rights, Fifth Amendment rights, Sixth Amendment rights, which are relevant to the Fourth Amendment rights here. You have, there shouldn't be unlawful searches and seizures, right? And, you have the right to be secure in your own home. Oh, fear. I think to me, bam, the room can start and search it unless someone court, according to judicial warrant in your name, someone will search it. Almost stop your crime, so ICE, they have to show that they have reasonable suspicion, say you are violating U.S. immigration laws. Until they cannot do so, say, akwawe based on the skin color, and I say casa, it must be a reasonable suspicion, not based on race, religion, or accent, and abibisa. And our Fifth Amendment rights also know, you have the right to remain silent, and I said, you have the right to counsel. Now, what the Trump government has done is mass deportations no more canon. And Quebec go through the court system, a bit slow you down. Currently, there's over 3.7 million cases pending in immigration court. We just have 71 immigration courts around the United States. And and there's just about over 700 immigration judges. I was on fire about 20 of them.
Yeah, yes, so second for.
That's right. And immigration judge Bia would probably have about 6,000 cases already pending. And into what Trump has done is that expedited removal. Expedited removal, a process where low-level DHS officials almost be deported without due process. Me law lecture back on due process, due process. It's due process now. Say, I have the right to remain silent. I have the right to counsel. They may not apply an expedited removal. Expedited removal, first, not much amount for 100 miles near the land border, and if you had entered the US without documents just within 14 days, they say OMA designated the entire nation as grounds for expedited removal, and if you've been here for less than 2 years without proper valid documents.
And it's all the could have a sapana or the buyer. The fact that what's now 2 years I only paper no baby I will be a McDonald's so he will clean your better. Just a baby
now the buyer, you are outside the purview of expedited removal. Expedited removal.
Okay.
Two things. You came in without valid documents, and now said there's some misrepresentation or fraud, and you've been here for less than 2 years. It would be visa buyer. You've been here for less than 2 years. You do not qualify to be expeditiously removed.
Okay.
Into the point is that say almost now when you look at section INA 235 expedited removal, it places the burden on the alien and as an immigrant to show say or continuous presence of at least 2 years. Into the burden is on you. Into say ICE agent or chill now he already knows say well he can prove some type of alienage. Say, why establish a new area? Now the burden shifts on you, and you can decide
was some sort of document. I was a war system. Just according to the okay, so no establishes at least with your own free hour. Not as I said, they are to the end of the actually.
Exactly. Yes.
So prove it.
Yes.
Now status kakra.
Yes. And the thing is that a very dicey because generally no oko immigration quota initial burden for removal proceedings at that government needs to show alienage, meaning say free her. It's normally when we say exert or invoke your right to remain silent. Oh, person catch up say, oh, enami figana, enami fihana, that's why you keep silent because oko quota they have to prove that you are not from here. You don't want to give away that answer. However, if for some reason ICE agent in that say free hanoma, now the burden shifts on you to show say you are not a candidate for expedited removal to show say you either came in with valid documents and now say you've been here for more than 2 years.
Okay.
And again, as I say, there are a lot of rights. There's a lot of rights. For example, you have the fundamental right to food as a human being. But and I invoke my fundamental right to eat. You have to know
that example.
You have to know how and where to exert your right. And yes, I can end up being absurd. And I say it will be counterproductive to Adia. There are several types of removal proceedings. If you are going to be placed in regular removal proceedings, and Honabeka say, oh, and I'm invoking my right to remain silent because Udu Kota, the burden is on the bind to show say, now so over the whole year expedited removal within a day, you can be deported if you don't have the evidence or proper documents. Yes, expedited removal is very fast, no due process, no appeal, and once you are deported, there's a ban of 5 years. You come back. Yes,
you deported 5 years into me to go US.
Into the US, yes, under expedited removal. Unlike deportation proceedings, I ever severe with NTA notice to appear. So, okay, these are the charges against you. File lawyer, come and have your day in court. Assert defenses, and then even if deny you, say they are removing you, you can file an appeal. To the court. Expedited removal need such chance. You're very, very fast. And it depends on the situation. As to say Trump administration also has rescinded the sensitive area ban. And it is home to me both churches, hospitals, schools near there. And once that is happening, you have to determine, say, okay, how do I want to handle the situation? ICE has been told that they have to use common sense, arrest officers so they can arrest based on a healthy dose of common sense. So executive orders. And I him say common sense so there. You make to chair it differently. If the ICE officers know they are supposed to use common sense to arrest people, it depends on the encounter that you are going to have. There's no one blanket know your rights per se. I can say, oh, well, remain silent. Well, if you cannot prove it, they're removing you. What do you do? It depends. You have to know and understand what type of removal proceedings now they are trying to put you into. And some of the cues to know say, yeah, they won't share expedited removal. Mu say, I baby say, how long have you been in the United States? And no sir, to say say you are already not from here. By some means. What apply for USCIS process is being denied, or my refer you to ICE. So they know say and they start questioning you. How long have you been here? And so who say, well, they are trying to elicit, say, what did I have 2 years or more now? So in those type of situations, okay, say you are remaining silent, you will not even get the chance to get to court. You'll be deported. It's about knowing and understanding what is available and how.
But at that point, so all right, sir, you can 6th Amendment rights, all right to an attorney. Would you advise I was said at least by now be our only gratia now who himself started shaking attorney number of phones so ASAP on
That's
speed
right.
dial.
Yeah.
Will come say the borders are next. I'm very surprised at chicken. Sorry, now we didn't now upon now. I want to know a pro lawyer fast.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, there's a knock on my office.
No
door.
problem.
So yeah, it's important say obia be wo ne attorney on nakasa who the way obey, because there are certain documents that you should have on you, when apprehended. But it's important that the document will not necessarily say baby awufi any your alienage and certain things, certain personal information. But other documents say okay, or more than 2 years presence, and as you came in with a valid visa, that's possibly fine, but a very, very dicey and a little difficult to navigate. And what's going on is that there's a lot of inconsistency in OMO enforcement actions, and it's part of the confusion strategy and tactics. We kind of have to wait to see how a lot of the things will play out to be able to give the advice as and how they become relevant.
Now say wait and see so ebedu na Ghana for so dey fine do am kwot say 136 bedu 157. It's possible say wait and see ni beba no suro no but onim ye ne lawyer akua ohene twene aboage na kasa about deportation ni ade na wa me ate say ICE for no aye Donald Trump kofo no mo chichi kofo no mo deporting kofo no o ma toilet akoma Ghana embassy say so for mo nipa 136. Now no year okuje to abla kwaso say number no kwa beda 157 as of January ending. It you bet me by now akodu 200 unuanom no na Ghana embassy for cry your papa kaka body later artist kaka say dey be for mumba because a serious issue. Enti on no ka say obia was so who right because who America man more right to be 4th Amendment, 5th Amendment, any 6th Amendment no aka no but hunya lawyer start so ni obi kasa hu de wasa wo ye baby also oko o see first no nka asori ayi ni ade nka we no mo cheche wa asori nyina wo do quote Bible quotation e becho enti there's fear, panic and alarm. Ntu wo question bia wo de busana na me nso me busa council ma no to nche because wo ko ne ko ayi ni officer 1 hour bia wo betua wo America lawyers they tua mo by the hour. The Ghana they say afan simple. Enti busa question bia na ye busa ne ma so that you know before we go to the corruption issue. But it's very important see benya help amaye nuanum Ghana for ntina Ghana for lawyers nyina ye ba ko se no wo ntina ho ma omu nuanum Ghana for omu nyina nim se Ghana ni bi obetu kwa abroche bi akakra okopedi enti enka Ghana de ye good place a obi afili ku wo Ghana wanya banku ani obenya fufu edi ye otina bonten from of the farm and so abroche snow ebeto bu so wo hwe asem snow bibia nye wada ne mu bia nye enti ne skapa dia obi enu obekọ abroche. So they are all willing to help omunianum Ghana for say information be assessed wunya na wo de boa wo ho wo de protect wo ho wo de because you are writer it accrues to you who America man mu de right obi is entitled to those rights. So you have a right to an attorney. It busa question na yen so yen busa no emma Christian Fifi Daniel so say Vim Lady media minim AK Popular. I've used her services before and she's the best I've seen. Very brilliant by all standard. Okay, so client be near and also wabuani denti or dasi. I'm watching who lawyers Ghana there. Yanchi will go police station. Who lawyer who was so now. What say, hey, say lawyers no on wire pa na some to wa. Ubefo say when you're simple, some to one who say, hey, in Crawford, they say no koyeje. Bibi o more clear. See, if you didn't speak about the Toothless Council of State, okay, where their politics, more no why your coins. Why your coins? I remember having a question. Yeah, we want to have intellectual discourse. More and more, baby, and more by young no, a level no. Patricia, also even the great spirits, every day, you know that you can't about national issues, people who have a mediocre mind, so they always ignore the major issues, no, and then they focus on other trivial issues like emwa or more into some phoning in also or see any more kasa. Because I'm about students, no. Somebody has sent a question, me who baby a question, no media question, but we will start question be about students, no, because we brave. What can I say? I'm Ghana, American embassy or Ghana, so mama, a lot of Ghanaian services over the last few years. Bebre what student visa J1 F1 but musro what happens?
Okay, so what buy what temporary status? Into J1 F1 obviously not just a non-immigrant visa or the baby F1 J1 our cultural exchange program. Now we are wasanko. No, they are fine. They have lawful status so long as go school and I say no. They are fine. Almost target of ICE enforcement. They should not be alarmed at all. I just could do bonibi and I say school no own core classes and I want go to your fees normal terminate or service record. Then you are out of status. But and as a J1 no onye what basaba be juma be or restaurant and a hotel under the program sponsor no could do boni and that's why you be and the contract and say memo then they'll terminate or or J1 or DS 2019 on better terminated, then that means you're out of status. Oh yes, you're fine. Temporary status now by yourself the purpose for which you obtained the reason for which you entered. No, Shesona yet make sure say you
but there will be more students or more bash as and we're Johnny. Because I know a few Ghanaians or the student visa, not the room we are no Johnny. Almost I'm phone as I saw me shaking me boy.
Oh yes. Oh yeah, because we say we are out of status. Into who said Trump to swaka say collateral arrest be ebebaso. Into be a ejume mu be a ejuma under the table. Be a na Venezuelan be or gang member and as another person be or gang member. You do I silly all the ejume mu does. You say okay, everybody show your documents. Now also so no would you be papers ejuma. Oh yeah, priority because you are you see OB documents to work, which Trump says obey collateral damage. You bet swallow so
Pacho obi a ono ye student and now paper about you so obi paper ye extra job no and no case.
Well, okay, so your student no you see obi paper well then there could be some type of action against him, not necessarily deportation because of a valid status.
Okay.
But so who school no way you see OB papers, not just say you are undocumented plus using OB papers. And no almost say collateral damage now, deportation. But if you have valid status, then it's likely say you are just violating immigration laws and they can take some type of action against you, but not necessarily deportation. Because deportation, mass deportations, the government when they say the airfares and process all these people into a very costly venture into if you are not necessarily an enforcement a target for the enforcement they are not likely to come after you.
Ghanaian Lawyers Association now more America to me come boom Trump say yes I the ekro for no be pedi umbedi into the money and for Guatemala for any ade na nya the money omunya na money Ghana ni away criminal activity be but omo maka no the mama money na mu no mo peka kro umbedi. Is there a possibility say mu betimi appeal bisa to the government?
I mean, almost so warm, and then there are rules, and only say either say you are coming in with permission, and I say it is any out fear. Open to me be bone remove without invitation. Who can't any sombra, and I say wabawa catch and temperature about 4 p.m. Ube to me ako. Or say there meti hanom. And you'll be at it. So to make such an appeal, maybe a bed in kakra, we have to we can what we can do is help help people understand what the laws are and help them advocate for rights because the fact that what be overstaying, you still have some rights available. And avenues we will people have 601A waiver for unlawful presence. They are there to ask for forgiveness in certain situations. It is types of mechanisms, no legal mechanisms. As lawyers, they say, oh, it will be a breaking laws in Tipacho, circumvent, lay down rules, mercy per se, but we can use the laws to
help the person
do the best for our clients in the community.
I was going to say, what's the status of TPS immigrants under the current situation? And we'll bet me answer.
Trump will freezing all Biden era parole programs, TPS, In fact, the most recent one, Venezuela 2021 TPS has been terminated. It's no longer going to be renewed. And but Ghana for the TPS and fire TPS a temporary protected status that usually DHS will designate a country some type of instability, be a war situation, and as a civil unrest, and designate okay, in Kofor be at this country. There's unrest there, more temporary protected status in the US to prevent their deportation. They are valid for sometimes 2 years, and they allow them to get work permits to work. And after the designation, not just pay a way to either get a green card and as a regularize your status. And to almost end the TPS designation, and not just almost because they had the CHNV, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, some of the parole programs, and some of them also had TPS. They say almost terminating. Trump said he's no longer interested in all the Biden era programs.
Now, Patrol, DV visa lottery because you want Crophobia. Last year, we need 2 years ago. A chance. And also Trump has stopped here now. DV visa lottery no.
Me Patrol, DV visa lottery need your on stop here. But there's an executive order about enhancement of visa processing. I forget the exact name of I believe it's Executive Order 14161. And in that, Oka say he signed that on his first day of office, January 20th. And I'll say there should be enhanced vetting and maximum screening to the highest degree possible for all the visa programs, and then go for move fee outside or more try some by US. In that executive order, so Trump states that the Secretary of Homeland Security, DHS, they have to review all existing visa programs and make recommendations and reports within 60 days and 30 days to see near US which ones are against the interests of the US. In the past, Trump has already, stated said in visa lottery. And we wait to see what the DHS and Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, what they will recommend about visa programs. So they are going to review them within the coming weeks. So far, there's no termination. But another problem with the visa lottery, already there's a lot of delays at in many of the embassies, especially Ghana. With the enhancement of the vetting, because they are now going to obviously they want to look at people who bear malicious and negative attitudes to the US and its culture. There's going to be a lot of social media screening near there, a lot of background checks in that executive.
But can it be because Ghana from the way I abuse social media no? Say Trump a dey ba mu na just say be on say una edi no social media near the blocking for unya. It's about mutie. What post be against him because America for mun ma se mu ni agro. What post be religion Trump owns or no or so here no pa any adeno startability. Is there more mechanisms to call the division about here to be stability or say yeah bet check ni na
making executive order 14161. It's called Protecting the United States from Foreign Terrorists and Other National Security and Public Safety Threats. And it says so many things. It says that they have to vet and screen to the maximum degree possible all aliens who intend to be admitted into the United States. And I know mobile share social media because almost say they are going to look at people who they need to review that people do not bear hostile attitudes towards the US, its citizens, culture, government, institutions, or founding principles, and do not advocate for terrorists and all that. You know,
it is chiremu. Wow, come wow, we be against US no. O cassette America for and compare this and because unya ma no.
Yeah, and you know, if they are going to do background checks now, not just say, wow, obey ya President Trump, obey ya Nabai, obey ya American culture, obey rubbish on social media or wherever in any type of written medium, and as a medium that can a medium that obibetimi who say why you adewe waha, and they can go back and see it. You want to be careful because there's going to be enhanced vetting and screening to make sure say wow person unya visa but not me unfa left in ya US now unfa right in Converge visa. It's you know that is we are going to be seeing almost execution of this executive order because once the president or my executive order now or appointed some federal officers say okay take care of these things within the next 30 days 60 days come up with rules implementations policies to reflect what the executive order is saying and to align with what we want to do. You know, visa law training, they're not just say the processing interview time, so by even longer because there's now more background checks. It's almost vetted to the maximum degree possible. Ubia by US.
Pato mutie yo divi visa law training there. Why you be na yes what we need last year? I'm just forget take a for now because sending accounts all can you better check you be. Also, our Converge visa no what throw BB to America. What can say to Donald Trump? O post to BB o sereno. Any other codility o Converge visa na. Check you social media. Say visa you know crowd form no. O fele anoma busa your social media account. O the upper tro, the upper mentro. Omunim how to find your social media account. Because you punch you into Google search anything that you have posted. Ebeba. Most of amateur married, most of you single, so yeah, what Munina ye betimo, Ntino, Yen I went to a home for free consultation. Now a year about to foresee of a soul that only be castle phone so would you consultation, Naka, any time consultation to form Mr. Owen to start a year dollar no Susu. Only a castle phone so my advising Tino or school no obey to your consultation. Rather say only the European. Or European citizen who could a paper from Europe near there and or US are all visiting a because they to her. Can the I deport me if overstay? I simply to make deporting Anna.
Okay. Into your European citizen typically you can enter the United States through a program known as the Attah, the Electronic System Travel Authorization. You know, British citizen, maybe Swedish. Or you're German, to me, they don't you don't need to go for a B2 visa or the Attah no amount 90 days to come into the US to be here. If you overstay, or you're subject to something called an administrative removal. Some for no visa waiver program, so no. They don't even go through due process of court, or administrative removal you without going through process. So yes, ICE can certainly remove you. But again, you are not the target. So won't commit a crime. Util baby, we are undocumented. The one person who focus on, you know, more commit a crime. But to say the mechanism, so no, more quotas, more numbers. It's almost
yes, 1,005. I know, cry.
Yes,
every day you are 2,005.
We've seen that from the reports. Say, you know, there's department in a year. Deportation in ICE, you're from ERO, enforcement removal operations. Almost 25 field offices around the US. And my mom quota say each field office, each of the ERO field office, almost 75 per day. It is 75 into but otherwise you are not an enforcement target, but just be careful with movement.
Okay, and the
other thing I'll add to that is say, what worry US citizen who you overstay, you are generally able to regularize your status. No, so it's apart from being proactive in making sure you also have to be proactive in regularizing your status, so that can help you between your green card without leaving the US through.
Okay. Obisi I say omo no amaka dem no muntumi nkwa abonten obetimi akomu fie any omako kasa na phone so and I BBC Abrante be wants to know if you do home services near there for those who are afraid of going out. And also because people what kind of fear and panic. Slow.
Home services office. me back home service. I mean, that's not very safe for me. America, you're very
But be how my number now, near number no so that
okay.
those
Oh
who can
yes, yeah.
call.
Yeah, office did here. Yeah, offices did here. We do a lot of virtual video phone consultations in person. We bring legal service to the comfort of your home. If you by your office had that, they're like, now books, you know what here. They say you giant books, so everything is on cloud, you know. We have a lot of clients all around the US. So people all share village, we will hire yeah, video call, all right, phone call. It's me be around yes, we provide legal service, but you can certainly contact us without you coming into our offices.
Okay. It can't so bon number my metro, me the two screen so because if you panic in there now can is real. It's very real, party. More office number, mommy.
Okay, 802-780-0564.
802-78
00564. Maybe I told private chat no.
Okay, no, I'm
AK Poku Law, who your number so Google, they are very easy to call us. You know, you can call us and we see how best we can help you.
Okay. But the number to screen so that wow, so because and there people are really living in fear and panic. Office on because I say, but that's how say so much for surprisingly no. Osro so di agra obekonana ya fanoko.
Another thing Susoni say, you know, go for they're in a dilemma. Oh, me carry me documents, me registration documents, and I say me green card, and I say papers being a main cra. It depends on our status. It depends on our status. As I say, generally about 4 types of immigrants in the US. Depending who your US citizens, almost the highest level, they have US passports. There were green card holders and lawful permanent residents. There were 2 types. There were almost 10-year green cards, and there were more conditional green card holders, almost 2-year green cards, and there were in Krofua almost some type of temporary status like student visa, Biana, or some, you know, asylee status. I saw or they were go through the asylum process, or man asylum, she has to apply for a green card, or was her status no. And then the 4th level of people here undocumented for normal money papers in the crown. It depends on where you are in the, you know, what kind of status. Or you're a US citizen now, the law does not require you to walk around with your US passport. However, to me, you can have it because almost stop here, no more detain you by the time document prove you're a US citizen. Be what them 2 days. And if you don't want that discomfort for your own comfort, then you can decide, okay, me a copy of my passport, it be on my phone if I want to, but you are not required to, because in Manicra say if ICE tries to detain you or arrest you and you say that I'm a US citizen, then almost check your database not to verify. If they're not able to verify, then you know it escalates. Or your green card holder. I believe Section 264E of the Immigration and Nationality Act requires you to carry your green card on you at all times. Otherwise, it's a misdemeanor. You know, imprisonment. And you know, you have to carry your green card on you. Or temporary status also. The law requires say you should have your registration card on you, which could be an I-94 work permit near there. But again, sometimes ICE officers can use that against you if they are going to take you through the removal proceedings. It depends on, again, the encounter and what's going on to determine release your documents, and now say you want to assert your right to a lawyer, and the lawyer then you can, you know, decide to show or status.
And nothing I'm a suggestion now earlier lawyer be only na bon that so that the lawyer is on your speed dial. Eniagro. Because one way you no more the work to asem because you cancel that conference no credit Donald Trump a man no quota. Every day be so 1,500, 1,500. To the agro, we mistake get over 1,500 no the work. We do kotoka na on sapan usika kwa we save you if you cry on zanka. Per lawyer now on starting wow so that be any and send a lawyer can you don't need to come to her office bet me know a video call bet me know a phone call and no normal direction near there Kofi am there hand or say why is it that most African countries don't develop your country no more pa abroche choye my visa near the America bo money and no be a shaky So no dey somehow on they were developing the country or sit na okrom. And you know, question there, this is what we must ask our leaders. And yet Donald Trump we ask our leaders. And so unfortunately, young Ghana for leaders mum ye somo. Ya den to master for me leaders na be faso. Na ye Donald Trump asem. And also na lawyer one why did Donald Trump asem attempt that on Facebook. Ye hu ahwan ko delete o. Ono nsoma o untu ya tax ma no. Wo atem didi be didi wo leader na atem. Ona o tax ko no ho. Patricia Adjuma say if you a great job partner only lawyer yen because ene wa mama tinsem ase pa na ban kwa de so be so hu baby our office no the office of Virginia but the number near there to no to betimi a friend number no omo no be kata no mama conditions near there abroche lawyers charge by hour ntim friend en kasa obe friend na when you aha na free consultation ye wie ya obetua one ne kasa 20 minutes obetua fashion utrim Uba abroche so be pesca no so ba abroche so be pesca wa mba school kwa akosho for radio kum se fia den akopon se mo ye discussion we pass the okaso lawyers ni akra ye o maka bom so mba bom nuanam Ghana for no eye pa Philip 24 so per council number but on da screen so to betimi afa no we save out to phone so bibini a o se me lawyer no afre yo Chris Ben Fifi Daniel say no fear, no panic. Oh, AK Pokulo, the memo you must show. Unim so obeboa. Nti onen nkasa nyasa men friend na ye chewa no akọ friend ba ko onimo. So nti friend na di kan ne nkasa. No one say your lawyer no. So because that be a ye be chew no. Na be friend no so e busy. Ba onen na kasa that I say me lawyer ni a. Onim say wo ye priority man. Ye chewa friend na be peke. So anyas obi ando kasa obe peke obi aso life. William Bafosi, good evening, please. If you are, what about someone who left for Ghana with parole, advanced parole, during the Biden time in December? Can the person re-enter the US? This is a very good question, Pa. Also, the advanced parole, and also I'll bet me up for US back.
Okay. Well, it depends on what status. So let me start by saying, say, Oba US ha na yemfa all the visitors visa and a baby one I say student visa. Now the very maybe I will share or for and some other you ever say what will be a woman now person worrying now or a US citizen will file a green card application amount before you leave the United States. So be bind because we're filing green card application amount. You cannot just sorry keke end to find. If you leave, your case will be denied due to abandonment. Until before you leave, once you have a case pending, so apply for advanced parole documents. Now, bisa bind say, okay, Mpacho must send the application, but me too point kakana masamba. And not the better opportunity to leave and come back. Now, with the Trump administration, so what overstay or visa now or advanced parole document? The reports we're currently hearing they say, oh, babaka. They detain you, question you, and cause some type of trouble for you. I don't recommend so especially if I say what be 20 years ago, well overstay, or you are filing green card application amount. Not open Ghana with that advanced parole document. Sir, unlawful presence problematic. And at this time, the obey to me at Tennessee. Now we green card and in fact because advanced parole it doesn't guarantee if share CBP website and even USCIS website they'll tell you that advanced parole does not guarantee your re-entry into the United States. You travel at your own risk because you can be denied entry on your lawful permanent resident. The only people they're guaranteed entry are United States citizens, lawful permanent residents. Lawful permanent residents not say a criminal issue and a fraud issue, you can be detained and then sent to immigration courts because at the port of entry, according to your I believe your Sixth Amendment right, you cannot be deprived of your life, liberty, or property without due process. In terms, officer Bia CBP on to green card say when your green card holder bill. And so no BBG green card, it has to be through immigration court, immigration judge. So as a lawful permanent resident, not say okay, you are no longer a lawful permanent resident. It's even for green card holders or criminal issues. I wouldn't recommend travel at this time.
Okay.
Advanced parole put you are in a worse situation. You need match status. If you can, don't travel. Where to find that down? So there, well, just be prepared. I would certainly reach out with an attorney Now we review or background, like how you entered the US, how long you've been here. No way to me answer certain questions, because again, at the border, there's no State Amendment right. Oh, enter at a port of entry. There's no right to counsel because you are not in the jurisdiction. You are not yet
Wow.
and you can only invoke a State Amendment right once you are inside the US. Until once you are, detained for secondary inspection, ultimately for a lawyer at that time is between you and your board. And an Albekembia is being recorded. We are even record of a sworn statement, to be BI recorded. So you want to make sure, say, you know how to articulate your rights. Because you go for the brain, no, be all the crown na or a good case and or a good story, but almost need the ability to articulate their rights. They don't even know what those rights are. It is a good time to speak with an attorney to understand, send me answer questions. So because you have to
find.
That's right. And it so what Ghana, so now you're trying to come back at so that you know how to say what and what to say in that.
I think it's a very good advice. But what would say our question? What Ghana they start if number no now ni ekuyankasa se because can do a airport who need right to counsel because when America fe na wo pray America.
That's right.
In the constitution cover because also omu detaining for because advance parole and ma guarantee be answer by force. Yama kwan na America nti mpacho ye word pa wanye ye because na America na Ghana ni bia ni won mo tu kwan say o kotena kro no bia anya sika anya adwuma anka onye sa nti William ba for good evening Vim Lady, please what about someone who like okay when question William when are able to question it mpacho free where number ni sesi a with your consultation there only problem tem bia be friend bia no obe boa cause na make an obi anso nya adwuma freeze said the uton kelewele a obi eton didi no sa na no so ye ne de Michael Adolfo say I think Trump's action could be a blessing in disguise. Obi antna ne prom no obi developing in mind no obi anya o mind is true me say pressure na fan come your leaders no mo na mo ye o mind no.
If let me add this. Say you're very interesting. Because America a serious business model, because the number one country for immigration. Obia immigrants number one. Obia person about America. That's their number one on their list. And no matter how the US government maltreats people, lines are still long. Soon they are scamming us. A visa fee, deny a visa, and yet there are still hundreds and thousands of people always applying. It's a very interesting business model. Like they've built their national brand to a level. No matter how much you complain, you still want to come.
I don't see how building idea. No, said the bear, so you said them crown for Beba. Unfortunately, they are done NDC MPP near saying near mano. But before a call politics and so no, I bet Busasa Okaso be Kutane ideas, some IDB, not so Kutani real idea. On America, baby, is safer now also Kuta paper become.
So it depends. Who say it depends. It depends. One of the things I'll say is that not blanket advice here difficult to give. The US a federal country. When we say a federal country, a multi-jurisdictional. Unlike Ghana, single system, no, US, no, the laws are made both at the federal level and at the state level. Into maybe what state na laws, maybe what federal laws into some of the states, in fact, about 24 of the states, there's something called stop and show. Mm-hmm. They have the stop and show law. And police need stop it where you have to show your ID. Maybe also why you have to mention your name and where you are from or whatever. There's some other states also needs stop and show ID law. No. In those type of states, so you are not required to show an ID. It depends on where you are. That will determine what should apply to you. Or okay. Stop and show state more. Police need stop here or no. Besides say. ID now it's a crime, a state crime. So
it's a baby I Ghana for no Massachusetts, Worcester, or Ghana for Dawson, Ohio, Ghana for Dawson, New York, Ghana for Dawson, I think DMV, Ghana for Dawson, Virginia, Maryland, Baltimore, and DC. Stop and show no affect you more now.
Oh, states need me team. I don't have all the states in my head. Okay. At this time,
but at least too bad advice say you could IDB or one BB sir.
Where you are
license, so be one man. What you mean then driving license free Ghana, no are converting. So of course, you driving license, or you okay, Anna?
Not necessarily. Driver's license, it. So number one, you have to know who is stopping you. Is it local police and is it ICE? And you are different. Yeah, people conflate the two. If it's local police, then ID, the local police could be interested in what ID. And yeah, ICE, that's where you have to be careful. You don't want to also necessarily show alienage, and you need to figure out why is the ICE officer stopping me? Or they may say expedited removal, man, or they may call detention. Nah, they may call, and as I may call immigration court. So it's just very difficult to give one blanket answer to that question. No.
Okay. Obisu busa we can one marry a U.S. citizen after receiving final removal order 14 years ago. I don't want any wahala. Nti ono obi dada, but US citizen.
So the right to marry a fundamental human right, and no court, US courts can't. I believe the Supreme Court even mentioned it in a particular case. You have the right to marry regardless of immigration status. Question, oh, lawyer, absolutely, you have the right to marry. Our immigration status at all. In fact, let me show you. Let me mention this. Yes, the Supreme Court said in the case of Lavin versus Virginia, one of the basic civil rights of human, fundamental to our very existence and survival, is the right to be married. And it has nothing to do with your immigration status. You can certainly get married. Now, the fact that removal order a separate and distinct legal issue from our area, can one affect the other? Absolutely. The fact that Wawari US citizen can impact our removal order now. So there is a possibility, say, removal order can be rescinded and then motion to reopen based on new circumstances that have arisen after that removal order. And it says, say you are married to a US citizen, so there's a possibility to get a green card in the United States. So yes, you can get married.
Wow. Into our any do bet me into who need now say Obewari American or any formula. And from also one crata now near crata and America, for they don't need to know, say, and crata some. Only the answer where she American Iba also penal. Where she American Ibema also penal. One I do. There was a case, say, friend Suleiman, I will say, Bibisa, and then asylum case. Asylum case, and no, I don't think so. A bisexual. Court, do baby not. Almost one can say, improve, said it. Bisexual for any or down, the lawyer said, Massa. Obani Beman, the bank, I won't cast on prove said your mother. To not didn't also a bisexual. I was a Ghana for bro bisexual for ye kunkumomo into the no ya asylum, checking the case. No, I think that boy he got approval in this case, my boy.
Oh, okay, the guy story, but yeah, I can see that kind of objection to that line of questioning. Yeah, DHS for court adversarial process, what count case no person punching hole say okay tray. If that line of questioning is irrelevant and I say harassing the client, best stop it. What is the relevance to be a credibility and answer whatever. So that's but I don't know what happened to that person.
I remember I think me a video be on that case. No approve na buy say or your teacher baby na didn't free Ghana ko America and on ni jaye and later or say no you're bisexual to a coffin young man on in a fight in a
but that's the thing. The thing is sexuality is fluid. And and now bet me bisexual china we gay or china we from and by force say me na me say nra me gay I have to open also ye gay or china we share obi or say hey me share sa woman now ma me ho moja sorry no. It's possible. Who are you to question? Say, oh, now and also you gay. There's fluidity allowed.
I see. It was the status of more seeking asylum seekers. No, almost finally that no. Almost started the thing. You better deport your man on wedding.
Okay. And we can look at this in light of two main areas. Your border security and your interior enforcement. About border security, President Trump has issued an executive order banning asylum seekers from entering the US. There's a ban at the southern border. And there's currently, practically, the people that are coming in to seek asylum at ports of entry, they are being turned away. Number two, CBP one app now for you see Omo di bookie as appointment to show up no. Oma cancel. That app is no longer functioning. So with respect to the border, nobody is being allowed in to seek asylum because President Trump declares that there's a foreign invasion. And foreign invasion under Section 212F, no, it allows him to make those kind of rules to protect the US from invasion. And then when we come to interior enforcement, you know, Oma be already with a visa and will apply for asylum down the line. Those cases are going to be processed. Almost also maybe 5 years ago without a visa, I will apply for asylum. They are in court. Those cases are going to be processed. Because they already have pending cases. No, again, limited resources now are not going to focus on them because almost pending case until they will allow them to likely go through the system and have their cases adjudicated. Because the logic is that obi or what process our file asylum no. What if in 2 years they are going to grant him a green card? It becomes moot. So they are not targeting those type of people or what pending case are or go through the system. They want someone just say removal order then on what swallow.
It you don't see a photo because your Ghana phobia also a file asylum. It you be more case pending. It will be a Sunday question. No, Busa say almost what do they do now? Where do they go now?
So long as what asylum pending need there and no need there, that's something you can obviously show. Say you have something in process, and usually when you have something in process, they shouldn't detain you because as we already shared, you know. In fact, some of the detention facilities are releasing because need crime. And you know, what case pending, no, they don't have space for you. Pay, people who are really out of status are all causing problems, and now say you are just at this one to the government. I won't name mukeke.
Okay. Last question now. Yeah, switching politics. So where busa David, or I-94, but only I-94 into only any record of entry, but why US ni?
Okay. Into the I-90. So let me start by saying that under Section 245 of the Immigration Nationality Act, Oba into the United States now, person green card through the adjustment of status processor. There are certain rules you must follow. Number one, ASA, you must have been inspected and admitted. Inspected and admitted means that you came to a port of entry either with a visa or a parole. Not just abiding himself where remu a kwang papa so. Remu kwang papa so dia. Then you can be in the US, get married to a US citizen, and get your green card without leaving. There were exceptions to that rule. However, so what the government wants to do is that disincentivizing people from coming in without permission. US citizen you have to file something called an unlawful presence waiver, a 601A waiver. Once it's approved, go back to country, no immigrant visa. Because if they allow you to stay here, they do back through the border because it's easy to do it. So they want to punish people and prevent people from doing that. It's only I-94 there. It's very hard for you to get a green card without leaving. However, there were exceptions. Some of the exceptions, you have military parole in place, or you have VAWA, you are an abuse victim through VAWA. You can stay here without leaving the United States. There are some of these exceptions available. You will not need to file a 601A waiver. But if you don't have that necessary filing waiver, no, then you go outside, get your immigrant visa before you come back into the US.
Okay. I hope say Busa will be a question, because I was here searching the usual politics, no, and so far Ghana. But the point that more increasing the more making is say the crack say your mind ye try taxes for Ghana, ye develop your mind no. Ubia Ghana your mind I will resources enough. I won't say a third world country there, but other third world countries have done it. Singapore, Malaysia, Namibia, Botswana, or might make it Rwanda, at least to beyond 100% there, but at least to a large extent, no, at least on my minor man, yeah, no so sa. Then yes, the Biana Ghana need to quite fear and panic. Or more Germany panic because can not call Germany. Kofa we are no man kofa sign ya no menya kata say Germany for o ma block you o mo check it say before I be my paper be DNA Yeah, I said, man, I colony and the bar 90, why block you? So, Europe before you know, DV visa lottery, but any DNA, and any DNA. Kofo manyi ni macho omukrumi ya chichi chomu nyina na nsiama wahala aba enti yenye ya mani ye so that ye di fufu Ghana e be comfortable ye di banku a ye comfortable apesi gari showcase kwa Ghana ye di we so but say wona na de bia yam hihye me sin na no obi se na video ayo kofu ko ade visa na kra na no Michael Black say council abrante ye omo we so I basic school Ghana. He was saying, said to get African Ibenya visa pa ba America no, having cry easier. It's true, me boy. Because what they are saying, okay, if you delay say what Ghana embassy, American embassy of Ghana. Say nkofu to, ansa no money date.
Pressure near too much. Debbie, I say that economics is way where the demand exceeds supply, then there's shortage. I mean, the numbers of people are almost by US no. It's a lot. I understand. So I believe there were some statistics say one of the fiscal years, was it a couple years ago, about 3.5 million applications in Kwan every year all around. And they can only allow Nipa Kakra to come in. You know, unfortunately.
And I remember the last time I know a video interview you were telling me that DV visa lottery no. Omo apply I think 2019 say Ghana na number 1.
Ghana na year number 1. But you know another thing Anana made say, I believe say Nigeria for because Nigeria for no year disqualified, like they are disqualified because of numbers no. Ghana passport so I think said that account because it's just unimaginable. I just say I mean Ghana for they really love America though. But I suspect some Nigerian numbers and so cancer numbers.
You're true. Because Ghana had a now the whole world it's impossible. But then you to meet now Nigeria for to Ghana passport. No more
exactly. It's another loophole that has to be sealed.
Okay. Doc say to Mr. Dako me ba mo say about Mr. Joseph, Mr. Akon, Mr. Aka ubusa question now no. What do my microphone? So microphone.
Sorry, because Obi at the name of me about. I'm an abestand. I'm about abestand. That's what come why be a mammy no. On my back to Ghana or what, and no so bit me a problem on that.
Or the visa buy Anna.
Or the visa I buy when you invite my money by holiday. So about holidays, you know. And I welcome because or by so bad visit. So they say, and you see what come. Well, I'm back. And the honor is a bit more affected.
Okay. It's let me start by saying, why only lawful status? Not just say only lawful non-immigrant status and I say lawful immigration status. No, you can be in trouble. Assemble to me because we need permission to be here. And yes, you bet to me, or bet to me channel. If you are sorry, no more what you be, no, bet to me if they find out only papers. But I'll also add that groups of people be from immediate relatives. Immediate relatives here, spouses of US citizen, be of US citizen, parents of US citizen, minor children of US citizen. Sound profono. No matter how long Oma overstay your visa in the US, so long as they come in with a visa into the US, they can apply for a green card. Where overstay for 30 years, 100 years, the law will generally forgive the overstay. Now on Sakao green card. That's for the immediate relative category. Until they say, Mameno or US citizen Akolabia, we can review that and then certainly that's a possibility. Say, Mameno should be to me are regularizing the status.
Okay. If it's like I say, oh, mommy, I'll bet you I am. So, Monty Frelo number. No, so what's your number? No,
the number and Timmy keep with me, my brother. Maybe we UK, but me cheap program 10 years, but me but the best me verify because we are no tea, and I mean, meet ye. Mama information is the same.
You bet me the number now, brother. I'm not the I am.
Me that's a Yamisha.
Mizaka. Yes, we are that's a Ora, person will be a question. Now, so will be a question. There's a gentleman, a friend, Ora, but on so ne camera. The Beko doc more says here. Ora say, may Okora Ora busa question. No,
the lady in Pacho, Maryland, and me Checheni. Yeah, near DJ one a buy, a spend it 2 years. So Nampese me who say if there is anything I be to me
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Does any American J1 a cultural exchange program? It allows foreign nationals to come into the US to partake in work. Be a au pair, counselor, teacher, intern, researcher, any idea. And Obia will depending on the program, no a set amount of time I'll be to me a program, go 18 months, go 1 year, any idea. And a lot of the Ghanaians, a J1 visa now. Almost subject to something called the 212E restriction under Immigration Nationality Act Section 212E, or 2-year home residency requirement.
Okay.
In 2-year program, you have to go back to Ghana and whatever country you are from. Ubedi 2 years and so me asamba back. Abenya green card.
Okay.
So there's a waiver process, a J1 waiver process. We work it out with the Department of State and the Ghana Embassy in DC. Normally, their co-secretary, scholarship secretariat for Ghana to waive home residency requirements.
Okay.
But before we waive visa home residency requirements, so will determine what you want to do. Do you want to go back to school? Which you'll be our worry, and you may be a person filing out because waive requirements, you waive it in anticipation for something. And first of all, so we underlying BBA person.
Okay.
Either say
we say that's so no school be say maybe or apply masters, another masters. No man I-20 now, they wait me the no process now open.
Yes, open to me there. However, because J1, depending on his annotation, visa annotation, and as a DS 2019, whether he's subject to 212E requirement, if he is subject, generally, a so back to Ghana, no F1 visa. J1, sometimes change of status is restricted. Some of the change of status is restricted. But when you're obi to say a US citizen woman, no, now worried, we can do the waiver and he can get a green card here. But about to say F1, generally he cannot do a change of status from J to F if he is subject to the 212E restriction.
Okay.
But I'm not code, but one can't blame. So what I say? One cannot blame because one want to mean can't play until the problem in a straight channel. Simple and clear. Ghana project
me code now mama say make sure enter into a marriage a genuine and valid marriage, not for immigration purposes. Say circumvent immigration laws. Could $25,000. I know they have been count as 70
okay. But a fine guy. Someone now I want Ghana.
That's already.
And game open.
I want there. I your baby boss so the I know one quantity. But I want Ghana do open a fine boy. You what? What you say?
Thank you.
You what? Yeah, that's it.
Oh, he's
Obusa question.
He mentioned. Okay. Maryland. Okay, got it. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, ni commerce ni ade Tyson corner now ni nam ho ni o chele DC ni ade
That's you.
federal workers he fine benya Ghana boys you nim say dey ma panty you what just na lawyer come enquire rough bia ho ko se udi ti anim o represent Ghana nyina ti anim all right that's baby we pray for you say bia be Mr. Doc, me bam horses here. Or see here in the US, if you overstay your visa, you it can take you 10 years before you can apply again. And also, so who overstay your visa?
No. I mean, oversimplification of some of the rules. Well, Mamin kind of say, were several rules, right? Mamin, one example. You came into the US, where overstay your visa. Now say you don't call immigration court. Now what I say, voluntary departure. One person you want to go on your own money, one person be deported.
Okay.
Your voluntary departure, they give you a set number of days. Say okay, within by
this day. For real, no ask your person or Ghana no.
Okay, me on
the understand no lawyer so one person or Ghana.
Okay, So there's a voluntary departure. Not just a mamun deported me when that happens, now you are not subject to some of the bars of deportation. Wait me about back earlier. So when you be to say a voluntary departure, and that's a one qua, you are banned now. And a lot of people have that. Almost yo me me bag na ko mamu be hanka fe me famu tina plane mu e fa me ko Ghana. But omu pie no me dwane ko. When that happens, you cannot apply for any type of relief within 10 years. But if you come in now, with a visa, now it's your be even after 20 years, 10 years, you can get a green card. You can get a green card. Another thing is that buy into the US now overstay B2 visa for more than 180 days but less than 1 year. That's a PR trigger 3-year bar. Say overstay of more than 1 year now PF US trigger 10-year bar. But if you are in the US now, so we overstay you can apply at any time so long as immediate relative.
Okay.
US citizen, spouse, parent, child, those.
Okay. So green card. I'll bet me outside Ghana. How long? 6 months, 1 year, and
Okay. Into a green card, it means we are lawful permanent resident of the United States. Now, that tactic now for edgy green card, almost Ghana or your business. Nefe de was shut down every 6 months. No, a 2 weeks. No, a sanko. So that kind of games, a buy way company as a green card holder. So per se, you should not go outside for more than 1 year. You should come back before 1 year mark. Say who intended to stay outside the US for more than 1 year, you have to apply for a valid re-entry permit, usually valid for 2 years. You have to apply for this on Sakana or DP. In Crawfordna, almost person apply for citizenship through the naturalization process now. There's something called the continuous presence rule. And only you have to demonstrate that you've been continuously present in the US always more than 6 months. So you won't mean to Ghana and spend it more than 6 months. And also, and if you want to apply for US citizenship, you have to make sure that each time you travel outside, it's less than 6 months.
Okay.
And only we look at it when you are applying for citizenship. But generally, as a green card holder, you can stay for up to a year. But I recommend say less than 6 months are ideal because back no watch it too much port of entry, CBP officer bit me beside then our chest this is your primary place of abode. This is where you should be.
Okay. I'm a Ghana question. We busa say, oh yeah, a US citizen, but what criminal record? I'll bet me you bet me deport one.
Debbie, as a US citizen, let me say that if the criminal record is related to how you procured your US citizenship, either through fraud or misrepresentation, yes, denaturalization proceedings can be brought against you either criminally or civilly. On bet me denaturalize it. But as a criminal, you've been arrested as a US citizen, they cannot deport you because they say, what they come, you're a US citizen. And you'll be subject to the rules of imprisonment and our sentencing. Regular US citizens are entitled to. You're a green card holder. Now, yes, you can be deported because one case I know you are still not there. You don't have the ultimate immigration status.
Hey, America, and Michael Black, I know. Easy, so about heaven, America. Oh, my bank, it's any council, any final thoughts. I'm saying answer and no questions. I just said you'll be question which they are on farm. Mr. Sako, I say, Ghana for no money to almost than America for maybe worry just to get in crack and so when you're careful because almost so bad for single mothers. Because child support to see issue. Say Ghana for baby so criminal issues because it gets it almost because of child support.
That's right. Indeed, OSHA, if you are applying for naturalization, it's always US citizen. Not say child support. I am fam because it's explained as a lack of good moral character. Just a lack is papa because who dependent are you willfully fail to take care of them. Into me denial will become a US citizen because of your failure to pay child support.
Muntio Ghana for me man atopaya mo de by a year. Subana mudi free Ghana na ya mo kase mbet me de akwa America. Mo ne ma wo Ghana mo hwe nkoda no no ma ye mo basa oba yeti akokọ bi de ne mani na chiri mo jegu ma no so wo de kwa America na ye ka no unya citizenship. Wo kwa e beka se usuban nye atopa de onimbu bankola afa de onimbu America so child support. Me see Ghana for boys baby bu so mo child support de do mo so. the dorm so sa mo for say I love you no almost share African Americans here back Ghana and so we now complain say Ghana member share man I love you yet can't love you now you know e be bo to pan kakra nti afa ba school fees abroche de be calculate amount based on your income o sha de wapne ho nti kwanya kaza o pro ko me ko fa oba ne na ye nkra to wi a woni na wo ba ko me nu agya ne si o child support be chesi in fact council say we are aware of cases and na wo ka say Ghana for member be abeka Ghana omo ntumi come back to you because of child support me boa.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Now, Mamika said child support issue, a family, more family law related, and a child support, a regulated by, divorce, custody, child support, a regulated by different states.
Okay.
State BR one a laws are a regulated child support and how it should be paid and what they're looking out for. But with regards to immigration, that's and Mamika said with citizenship, that's our concern. Immigration also they're federal, same laws throughout, but child support. Different states have different ways almost
okay.
So depending.
Now Albert so obusa question be on the last year person because I say a corruption no or say obetimi adopt ne niece na but I think he's asking this based on Ghana. Let me say I don't know so niece no Ghana obetimi adopt no why enkrata man be bisa.
Okay, it's about adoption immigration related adoption the interplay of two laws the local adoption laws in Ghana plus immigration laws are combining. And because of child abduction issues, there were very strict rules cover adoption. There were 3 types of adoption in the US immigration system. There were Hague Convention adoption, there were family-based adoption, and there were orphan route. Ghana is signatory to the Hague Convention. In Ghana, we follow the Hague Convention process. So, person adopted a club. Number 1, the child has to be less than 16 years. There's an exception for sibling. If we are now person adopting Kola 3, we are 2 of them 11 years old, back with the 17 years old. The 17-year-old can qualify under the exception because they are 11 and they don't want to separate them. But generally, the child has to be 16 years. The adoption has to be full, final, and valid in the jurisdiction in which the child is. And they say follow the Hague Convention process because they are Ghana. Aklane will be to say Nigeria, orphan route, so you have to follow that route. So it's a possibility, but adoption rules are very complex because, well, say as I say, American will if the adoption rules are not complex, rich man be over Kansas, obetimi akọ village be akọka say 8-year-old in where me fe, mama farmer, poor farmer, $100,000. I mean, fat man in America. Obi wo obeye, or the aklane bo obetimi a repino. Amanaye, sex slave, achichen inside all sort of crazy things. In order say, Obepako adopted a club from one of these, from outside to come, you have to follow the Hague Convention steps. And some of your home study to make sure, say, you are eligible to adopt and the child is also eligible to be adopted. So yeah, you can contact me and we can discuss that some more based on also. So,
Mr. Albert, I want to ask Joseph Mensa, I want to ask a question. So, what fashion over Ghana? No, we cross lawyer ya being. So, betting afa lawyer number no our friend or say possible rules no or sign a lawyer Ghana. She knows the rules. She will take you through the process. Now I am na what fashion so below a year. Obet me and yes, I exceptions no. And okay say it will apply. Not just say or the ultimedia amount. Albert Mensa sure that's a part for answer now the man no. Albert yes sure that's. Council, any final thoughts on this immigration issue?
One final thought is that the landscape is fast evolving. Nema SSM by the day. And it's important to understand what your rights are, absolutely. But it's so based on the changing landscape and how fast the situation is changing. So just stay updated, stay connected with the community. Please reach out. And it's important that you be proactive rather than reactive. Proactive means that you have to take steps, prepare a plan, know what you want to do, and san asemna to. Reactive, reactive, not just say, oh, now you are trying to figure out how to resolve the issue. And no, usually doesn't end well. So it's important that you have a plan in place because, I mean, when these ICE people approach you, you can't even think straight. And a lot of the times, the situations are so complex. The nuance of even sometimes asserting your right or even knowing what to say. But the more you prepare, the better, the more ready you are to face such an encounter. So it's important to be proactive in your preparation, because Obia, which is say better no, but you never know.
You never know. True. You never know. What's one of my better as any other can. Umoja Ohunya, what you know about the more better. What you made the first no, me a court reporter, not to me call a court, or it's video be dinner that can you. You can't tell me outside the court, which I don't know, be to be juice on. I am just young girl. Indeed, I don't kind of 4 wonders 4 armed. Wouldn't me as we are now we're too hopeful. Friend, lawyer number or phone, so I wouldn't say we're 2 for a more aquantry into Kakao with Kodia came on my brain, also Yapa. Indeed, she be flu, not too hopeful, not fire addition. Bibi any I wouldn't say only lawyer cousin to speed that. Yes, I bet you are, because Kofono cannot say I surprise you almost one woman yet. Oh, how much to me ransack where you no maba. No. Yen na careful. Okay, that's baby, that's a pan. Number no so na wo screen so no 802-778-00564. AK Popular. Uko Facebook, ubo no Instagram or TikTok, ubo se videos baby. Awa ye or church ni anum Ghana for no. I mean, these are the things I know. Also be the aboa ni anum Ghana for a friend one opportunity. Or meetings baby, I cancel ni nyina say no. See a boy ni anum Ghana for no be hu kwachire no. Because we be a bepe obedient, be sacrificing the time. We nke tuana anka more 2 hours nke the cat. And so also obey any free now also they are born in Ghana for the ba unim the so ye ohun chiro. It can say na spa any the union US na maka bo so amoso mo ye me hu so mo ye weekly even monthly Zoom meetings near the edam spa ne the mo ye no.
Ms. Medas, thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everyone.
That's a baby. And the Quia Hinetrini Abuaji and then Kasa no a lawyer. The immigration federal law to all 50 states from New York, see what is it, Nevada or New York, see, I know Chrono Cradis and cry, or more when baby, I'll bet me about now why you man. The Mr. James Darko, Doctor, a friend saying some say to Ghana, so you see corruption, and I make one say no. See, OSP are baby 10 or no, I say a friend saying. Kenoforiata a fugitive. I feel no answer or one account or onye fugitive. I mean, what are we doing? Yeah, pay sika did they be near rush, you better uncle for the attempt because you all didn't know the law, and then they also ask your mom when you. And all right, but more importantly about President Mama Debi, which is very good. We declare the asset. But I have seen your asset declaration. A declaration of asset, you declare the what are we doing? But Mr. Dakoma, make sure same through this issue of EFS OSP because there said 3 weeks in it has become the major issue. Say Ofori a fugitive bill. What do you think? Are we really doing the right thing or minor? Because government for our expectations like sika your money boy I can't to because Ghana call you. Visa I need the largest number. Visa lottery. How? Nkroma Ghana power. Mr. Dakuma mitio.
Yeah, me chiawo ahwefo no watifo. Near woman say anytime obi be America for beka pariah. I mean something like you are an outcast because nature say you fugitive, you pariah, you are being looked for. So now ebia one share near piece so odikusi use that phrase, which of course is unfortunate. However, no Mr. Oforiata situation because still no they have something and be it alleged or not, there's a case which I mean we name or bear 4 of them pertaining to swimming pool, the largest swimming pool from space and so on and so forth. So the Niamano we're listing but then again ABR using the word fugitive maybe was a little bit too strong a word for for it. Intina.
The point in it, whether fugitive or not, it doesn't matter. Can operator will case also here.
Yes. I know I mean that is. I mean we are all clear about it. And Niamano, at least the 4 things are all mentioned. No. I mean they are all issues to be looked into. I don't see any. I mean we can't fault him totally for rescinding. That fugitive part of it. I think he's got something to tell us or to say.
Okay, but Doc, what do you also think?
Yeah, step here. Me chawnet what you for yeah. Now me name is Attah where say case in the because even all my kind of cry na Ghana for nyina say Attah issue we e wo hodana nti no my kwana in the domain of Ghanaian community na sa sentiment and I say e wo hodana and wa back na me problem wa e wo OSP ho no say on say office in your office ketwa nti wunti me dada Ghana for enya Ghana sa say USA ya office obefa na say one abeje no because we office na kura no emo eso and the answer now the asem baba to abontin say no I was say who say ugina wo no manyina ansa ana be baba ana o rashi sisi ya what's abeka ye no on say what's create another discourse our system no mo and office no akran so kra na we hold no integrity and I say the way respect a woman office no then we put across. Because it sound like we working over cyber because I'm for making reference at issue by I was the part case you so I shall say I pet and was I buy and I saw baby. This is the second time. And the OS now as officer now what down on just oh many people was a be men can say be an old human now when you're the umusu and as a win team they say we are born Ghana because and say mission and you rush but and to say you get to the bottom of it. Nobody would have any question to question their way be. But now we're raising a lot of questions. No man, even though case in that so on, but no office na Casano, what man a question be aba a man for bizarre. Why then? You so no be crap initially no. Now mean but was Adam say, Papa we and a man for casa in the office by in for me, whereby I support it because as a day. The warrior partner, Muni warrior, and as a Untiminian, the Germany, Ghana. The many president party can make a union for the Impin Bafro. Number hold officers, Sabaya. I did be a way be and go a second at the bar. I said the officer no, money, were German away, your man, and in Sipo, Emma, who Ghana for a who any Monyama officer, what Brenna sister, what Brenna because you know, and I bay. Well, and the ensign period as for Safa Saba Biomana. Many years was a bazaar. If you grow my crank, Abia, American resign. When Kaway resigns here because one a bit America for entertained and no say because he say what bang and the winning with Juma. And if you qualify to do your job there, then went to the 100%. Somebody wouldn't mistake because of Nipa Juma now. Say Vorata cry. What the has over that reverse sir this and that what is a title no tone so how do you reverse it and don't cry about also over so no one can answer how do you handle this situation wait me you what about how do you reverse it now I couldn't pass it through my way and I'm getting to know the office and also are careful either say be in a few on your penny bubble with my baby Juman I Ghana I couldn't
but penny they are not metadako can say whether or no, I did to say a minor error there, but there are still questions, sir. You for it also, should that not be prioritized? At least way a small mistake in getting overlooking and what the actual issue say. If indeed, I didn't say a Jessica, Nanipana ya wrongdoing, why be a tear or man, I mean a bocadia, young Jessica, should that not be the focus instead of saying,
once I make me for Mr. Darko the answer. Sarkis in the influence in Jessica, and they can be as what you bet pie bed Jessica. It should be first and since you overlook no matter circumstances, as your cofana backward as your cofana back. Now because detail intima wasa yi sa Attah no fit so no instead in your claim ebia later no e benya more detail as to why. But so for that we find when did it na make Ghana for nyina nim enti ukase sa case entimen die because the esi no about public domain among for hunu ebi one party kura no what now money align with the see enti no sa on office no your no mistake no ho ansa na case no so aye kan so de eno so ekwan bia so no e was sa ye de ne ba no obeyi ne ho no chire mu because enye sika ketwa na ba bia akwandi no e was Ghana for ebo money na ye tie office na chi no matter the esi no na ye mfa ne mbra na omeyi ne ho no na Ghana for nyina asomnyo
Part of
German system normally are there when one of the systems say robust fine it's you know trustworthy a German system can hold you what not Germany all your life I hear you mama you are buying a federal German government do you see say oh share the air cost organ is there a genuine intention pass your person a GSK and I say oh MPP for by how much you for opuni for sending a dear me a bomb charge into your charge. Do you see that there's a genuine reason? Say, yeah, GSK and Kasa, and say just take for that kind of politics near your Ghana.
Well, honestly, say, ye ni abrepa, serious pa to use the word of Lady Council, A.K. Poku. She was using the word to expedite, deportation. Mm-hmm. So we need some form of expedited court system. Mm-hmm. And my suggestion in that case, we have this Australian court system, which means, you jump like a kangaroo. Okay. So we have to have, bypass normal 4 systems of court system, lower court, high court, appeals court, and supreme, bypass them because that place has been stuffed with people who are tainted. One more year, we party tainted a little bit. To expedite that court proceedings, we need some form of kangaroo court. A kangaroo court is never a bad thing.
Okay. So
because you know how the kangaroo jumps, which is why the Australians named it a kangaroo court. In TSA, accelerating yama
fast tracking.
Fast tracking. Meanwhile, to excuse OSP, let's put it this way. In the letter, he was saying something like he's going to be absent indefinitely, which maybe prompted him to use that because and then I can declare you as a fugitive.
But Mr. to be fair to Ofori, the doctors let an indefinitely anymore. Doctors in the end was clear, so they said you match.
Yeah, but when he was departing from Ghana, what he wrote to OSP, that indefinitely was in there. Okay. So, Anna going to and then coming back with the doctor's friend then a reference or that referral. Here again, I one can raise suspicion. Say, playing delaying tactics. Now, meanwhile, what January? Now, how come say March and Sana operation? A whole lot of things. I mean, these are delaying tactics. Now, if the operation is done in March, then there is going to be another need rehab and this and time to recuperate and this. Now another 6 or 3 or 6 months. So justice delayed is justice denied. Kind of thing. We have to put fire under their feet and retrieve our money. It's simple as that. And then we can shorten this kangaroo courts and that. But we need a kangaroo court all in all the 16 regions. To expedite. It has to be a fast, accelerated court system which has to work. And we have. I mean, if I see that young lady who just left, she's well articulated. She knew what she was talking about, and a young prof also. Very sadly, I have to mention this. Yakob Bia. I say we get ourselves acquainted with the system over there. Not any young krumufo, any sorry, any. I mean, a whole lot of things, and these things don't help us because Germany,
Hamburg, Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Düsseldorf,
we have these issues. It's in the Mofrana or Banokrana. Oh no, or German Casanis and the papa and the mammy. Because one waba will try to butu akufi. What could sit down with him so to crew master. So now this is Nancy. Sorry to say this, and the Obian saying Yemura or was wrong, no quan only. Senaya Amafo to talk to Fema AC syncrophone. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. And then the ages, if you look at one age, I'm saying this. Yes. Oh, sister, Missy, me be some who say, yeah, but Brumasani, and Cassandra, Yanchesa. Well, say, where the 40 and where the 50, who say, where could you age? So, a draw what the Bama no, and yeah, drew all the mystery. I mean, a whole lot of things. Over operation. Now, we now want the Bemawa. Ebe na unesa adida kakra wo betumi operation na overdose abem. I mean a whole lot of things. So people are not.
We are naturally born bad.
I tell you, which is
okay.
So we set traps.
But your point,
we set traps for ourselves.
Yeah,
which is of course you fall into it. Wow, set or trap now. Wow, you fall into it. Something is not right.
But open you see any kangaroo court in all the 16 regions. But yes, in the case of if a genuine, which was the question I was asking you, there were cases I never heard that. Also, MPP phone claimed that Sika couldn't confirm any say ekodi. But of course, to me, Sika will be some about finding the guilty. In some cases, when you have to will discontinue a case, no. And which one is genuine? Say, see how certain kangaroo courts in all the 16 regions say MPP form where this case now do a more. But cases now better you and they want discontinue a case now. And would you have a genuine? And would you have a genuine the AG Sika?
Intina so as you are being prejudiced or biased into that bias we say so because we can't be put our blinders on and we have to be the law and put our blinders on and see nothing. So I say now it me and then everything will be genuine. Into person whether Kwajo no you, Kwame no you, in Ghana for. Once I want for Ghana sikade, it has no color. It has no MPP color or NDC color. Let's just say, everybody who has committed crime against our nation is in for it. I mean, it's simple as that. You have to, say in this case, I mean, normally you don't brush, take a brush and sweep it over, but in this case, it has to be that way because then the obia wafa yens gebiano. So fin obefiabo said send the obeya. Whether we have two outlets. Into that two outlets, that's either one of them. Say if you hover.
But some is that we are as of now. Okay, the Prata has not been officially charged. He has not been arraigned before any court. Nobody has been officially charged with the ABs. Even in the case of National Service for the aircraft, about 81,000 ghost names. Nobody has been charged. In the case of oral, I will put the top black shop, ESA abonti do dina obeka no be Udru court, you must establish. Except about Miamo court, I say there's been quadruplication. About Udru court, I see there was no quadruplication. Those ones were you CV, you're not trying to be free. But you may pass out here as of now, Kenograta has not been charged. Nobody has been officially charged.
Yes, I mean, here's the thing. So, as a prosecutor, no, you have to build a case. So, until we build the case, now we make sure say defense for no, they don't punch holes into it. Until say, watertight and sana what the case na akoto bi nim say asamasi Mr. Dako ayese and I say tutu ayese inti Mr. say tutu ayese inti they have to build their case and build it well and make sure say it's watertight. So now microphone nya one be defend one defense lawyers na nya we kwa a punchy hole and gugu mes o rushing yama very so quicker one shot and na okoka fugitive I say so or recently or trisay into so here are the things one has to be very careful and and mindful about what one says so that it doesn't create any confusion later on.
Doctor said to my is there, do you see said the genuineness say GST can it for that? Because this week some drug ministry. So radio station do on maybe revoke you on way. People are saying that it's another tit for that because I'm before the bar, no matter where this station be. Why is it no money at the your movies are?
Yeah, I think
complaining say arbitrary.
One was say Ghana no and the Ghana no. Assembly ato ho ape na yamfa nche ndi sia ne ra hye MPP ene ye yare kese pa on di say ye genu kra na because ya politicizing it no e ma ne ye den say ohu ba bia efire because e see ya na ya reading meaning into it because NDC for and then an MPP for ene na de Mr. Dawka made to no so ye sa fast track court system no unim say nka ye obi wo ho a Ebianka this case and was say MPP town almost finish it package and sana ababe drew and this one I revoke some of this case and no man a here pass see a bed Jessica Nadia and this said okay and this is a normal court system because another man auditor general probably be aba yentimanya ho hwe akwada ho nso ko ye mie docket no na akoka ho asemumpo but there was a special court no say to say or I abai case bi be fa bia na yemfa nko that special court ana obi a wadi esika bia yemfa nko special court no ene de omodwuma nko ene eno nko a sabi ombetimi akompete abu atene tentem ye agi esika ntem ene nti no say abai me so omutie omumfa ho adwene say attorney general whoever or Omonfa waje ne yenya sa accord system sabia obi ebe wa faga na sika bia no yen jump from the normal court system ne yemfa wo nko ho na yetimaje sika before it too late yes ya pa 4 years so na yetimi kan asem ni ya the next government will come na won so anu ayi o nyina sinche ye kwaya na say ye buy e ba sa seriousness no nyede enim ba bia te be serious dia this system regions no yemfa bi nko ba bia yetime pushi ni tema ma yetime yesika na aka bi ewo bia no yetime ai we say bi nko be wu akọ amasika na de akọ de jane mane chifo na Ghana ye ho ade ye ho achente. I think a very good idea say yenya sa akọ system na yetime jump ahopo na yetime retrieve sika bia.
I pray say OSP no na attorney general mo betie de mo because it's a very good day even beyond just the corruption cases no for Ghana for if we have a fast track high court in every region 16 fast track high court and I said Mr. Dakubu 2 day no kangaroo court but I think Ghana revolution days nti oka kangaroo court for now for year ashiwo but era majority leadership for Attah they were ready so beba on high day there has been no case established against him but and yes so Johnny and he has no intention me person me bo video no change now.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, further to statements are made in respect of some actions at the residence of the former Finance Minister, Mr. Ofori Attah. There were comments.
Honorable respected minority leader, are you coming under Order 93.1?
That is so, rightly so, sir.
Okay, and I understand you've conferred with your
That is so.
Very well. Okay.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, so again, fortified by Order 93.1, I rise to bring to your attention that as a result of the issue I raised on the floor, which led to further comments and all that, Mr. Speaker, I are giving assurances to the House that in the interests of democracy, in the rule of law, and to assure the nation that this side of the House will do all it can to ensure that the member, the Honorable Ofori Attah, avails himself to attend upon the OSP. Indeed, I pursued it, I engaged him extensively, and his lawyers, Mr. Speaker, in a letter dated today, the 18th of February 2025, have written to the OSP, and for the avoidance of doubt, I shall read the content aloud. It's addressed to the Special Prosecutor, our redirection to attend the Office of Special Prosecutor. It reads, we acknowledge receipt of your letter dated the 17th of February 2025. We respectfully indicate that our client's post-mark date for his return cannot be any time before 6 to 8 weeks after the possible surgical intervention in March stated in the Mayo Clinic letter. Our client hopes that taking into account the surgery dated the 20th to 21st of March and recuperation period, he should be able to back to this jurisdiction between 14th May and 30th May 2025. We hope you find this date reasonable and same can guide your office in fixing a date for the in-person attendance of our client to your office for investigation.
Technically, doc, minority leader to know said they will make sure for your the number. And one mark deadline says 6 weeks. Yeah,
Sister Quia, my name said Ghana. I say, you said that you're serious because if we really meant say a baby, on the first then say I could do me. Who knows what the next April and as someone was at the next me because Papa every Ghana not on ICU so he didn't go to say an emergency so so also back at this time to mark even from this time up to so by the surgeon he obey me about me just a case of banner when is a bit deep but obey me about answer the question or annual sayako for because any emergency case
you do doubt it I think you mark more can more doubt it say on your and our shut down or pushy timeline to them because they are ready. Okay, said he doesn't know what will happen. You're there plus or minus one. Anything can happen. Anna.
Sister Ghana 7 year cano. Baby. Just come and answer questions. When you one of the more in charge, just to come and answer questions. Now we'll try question me. The one make us walk on say there's a emergency case. As you soon or done a different case. By in Chroma or rehab Chroma come the basic feature with the answer. Ebia distance in India. And to me, who why is it that time where time on what time and I've marking on what you know, catch that way. Says some time majority now, and that's what go back and say. And they are now a man for the Quacoto MPP NDC, say they are ban a play within the system. The woman said, I was the kind of when you say, I don't know, then yet. Yes, Sassian free baby. Say, Yanabeka, Yampana, Sabia, next time, when you feel with the back, Nipa will be an Akofanaba. To see a place our taxes, you know. Next 4 years, a best now your sample. So Ghana, if we want to change, your per reset there. So many OSP. When Camin has been Katama, Median Mana Noa, Median Mana Noa, and like Bamanaba, because a year woo, and Yadia woo is here, or Quack so be And so time will be to a bed there. I didn't know what man or delay and I watch it and no man equates.
So you are convinced that delay that is the Ofori
Yeah, a part of it. And then a part of it.
Mr. Haku, do you also think say delay that is not banana? Because
Of course, I mean, another in my first way in utterance and I say, I mean, justice delayed is justice denied, because all this they are playing games, and this kind of games it has to stop. Nipa ufi Ghana January somewhere there. I'm not so sure about the date. And now operation 20th March. I mean, just think about it.
Think about that.
I mean, hold on. Just think about it. I mean, who are you playing? I mean, you are playing on our intelligence. Please stop it. And now, here say, more than 58 million. I could to boom of rent then. Regi ho baby side ho baby musi cathedrals and then unyankopon ka choro so pe baby ato ono obo wiati nyina no ono obetumi esi da man ni okita wiasi nyina. I mean, then you have to build something twice as much as on the earth. So these are all cheap excuses. But I'm person make say Wufi Ghana and what they call or friend Minnesota or whether Minnesota Conwar. So inti Eya Sikano Monfe Binsi Ghana food doctor Monko Miami classmate bear four New York City. So yeah, one nyinaa say a binsura about pension. Obetumi abeboa Ghana.
Yeah.
Well qualified people.
And the hospitals no mo call abroche no mo fa Ghana for no mo ye doctor
equipment, better equipment in shim. Mo sik saglemi wo ho, saglemi si wa. Mo betumi 1,500 units houses. SU 8 years obi amfa. Mo betumi 100 units. Na sa nkrofo ya besua de wo ha. Ye betumi aboa no. Mu di sa 100 units na mu rotate why I say Airbnb. So na amount for reba na record na yereba na yeba nso yeba beboa yimprove because a hot na yenya yen foundation no ye the bar a bruchia ye we are sell here. I mean I'm one of them. We are
you offer us hospital no mo call abroche yen twam free na ko.
Of course,
for doctors say state of the hospitals.
That's it, because these are relics of the past. Mamin can see Samre na abrofono Waraba Ghana and colonial times in Aden. Now they had all these specs. So garden boy, so nioben cook oben German. So babysitter, so because Sanya Menina or one farm man war Ghana Hoa. On Britain, Emma. So you have to entice that person to come and do this thing. Yenya independence, you know. Kwame Nkrumah was able to keep these things because not one not Usa. Just a handful of people were, you know, the Tama, young president, you know, so Miamika Meboa, Miamenia, or call University of Ghana, 60s, you know. Now, Chiawanka, one our allowance. University students or University of Ghana, not one our allowance. Indeed, that is the way to, you know, encourage people to go higher learning and higher education. But everybody and Kasanya mean, I said, Muchem. And we na our friend there was a SIC MD. I mean, a whole lot of facts. Why it's not done here? Me say Hamburg Burgermeister, and then a week ago, one of Ghana for Ofori, you know, and all urban, one van and one car, one van, nipa be 18. And a car no I'm say no security personnel and a car I'm say BMW or something like that. And also ono and nipa where nipa for na what team. Simple where we And then I end the year be cars job. Over to me I can bear 30. And then
wastage why a system nim.
oh
Okay.
sister
And
and
then for instance, I saw for you, Pastor Drew, Matisse or cancer. I was sent a new government to focus on checking those wastage.
yes,
Now
because
on a wild goose chase.
the unimka ni oye Mercedes no oye Audi and now oye I mean this top notch or state of the art cars no and then ono unimu transen. I mean you can they have it but they don't they don't boast with it. There's no need for it.
Okay.
The hyperbole is too much. We exaggerate everything. Why? I mean, what's wrong with us? Now, it's like obi woha obekonifi cars issue for bear 10 and I mean minimum cry 5. Yeah, they are painting white and what they call sorry. It's a I mean, come on, please. What is wrong with the black man? I mean, what's wrong with the Ghanaian?
But I'm not there. And yet, one government specific. I think this is something that is ingrained in Ghana system where Obinia Duma, I'm on a bunch of cars. I think my brother, but that's why it begs this question: say between NDC and NPP, who Ghana and Memosu over the last 30-35 years now, where are we progressing? Do you see that program? Because I think we are okay. NDC ba for hospital Abruchi, NPP ba for hospital Abruchi. Because NDC and that is a problem. No, see, I mean, Zito Kaikwe, Oko Abruchi. There was a whole labalu about it. Ibini Kenofuata the Orochuko Abruchi. So it's systematic. So who is helping us to clean the system up?
Yeah, and Timpacho Munchim for all. Not Ubia Yarea. Ubeko say bank hospital no say region say then Ubia say Urban sa if you when ni bebre say omobe equipe and now UGMC. I mean they have to be under duress. So now when to me what the Nyama equipment is about. Now young Ghanaian doctors are overseas no once one be fear be boa. So because I mean we have the qualified people and yes I mean just as I'm talking me say me classmates for New York Ghanaian doctors are New York no what does
oh yes and your doctors some connect with me again Ghana for the baby no Germany when I want to post up report what in base ade or the basic cardio center my
yes but also more yinama. So Obia Obedino Huni Bia Obe very straight. As a German for the Yendi very straight. Yebibiano, I mean very meticulous and that kind of thing. India Mompea because Bibia Yebesha. So Ghana also the baby no stone left on temper in Ghana for one power, that kind of
about so Ghanaian because see I didn't this again people a system no doctor say to them better me buy when you see now me busa Mr. Dako system no because over the last 35 years NDC NPP bet na kunya so I scratch my back and scratch your back omu nyina de omu kofo kwa broche sa corruption asemi bia na opuni mu case omu an say na kofo discabo ha we say we discontinue case so see from Rolling Town Kenya, there was this Abeyime rice factory. It's
a reflection of the society. It's
a mirror. It's a solution. Solution. So how do we clean? What's the cleaning up system? No? Who should clean the system? How do we clean the system? I mean, the dog and your dog. What do you think, Mr. Dakosi? Cleaning system. Who should clean the system up?
Sister Queer, what was it? Yaka Germany, Yaka US, institution, you have strong institutions. Institutions that agencies are very strong. Now, once your council agencies, any pan ye mojuma. In Ghana for now, you are going to be your mindset to be a date, and your back for is hurting us. You may be a because say, yeah, you said your name free trip. Nay, and you pay your man, no year, and you could only a penny year. Because about you as I say, look, only be a Juma. Nasa, wow, Ukoligan, from ran or no one a better portal. Just a 1 year or no, one down for power, one and a coba. Obeja catch the one the report too, because that's how said it. Say John Paul say we say 1 year here, say the two or better report too. Now and Hannah say what can't say 1 year day we what you say only how which is need the answer what kind of career woman say 1 year. Oba Ghana for me say so when I Ghana at all say na ubuofu uyonko na say wakwate woto Ghana because wakwate woto
exactly
wakwate woto but ono ha no woni how because say woni say wo de wo ye no wo say ade no na say wo say no so no wo chena e be affect wo no so na adwuma obelu so na adwuma because opebi ada ko hwe family adwuma ha ya eno na obi ayedidie e improve life enti say ya attitude on that kind of so no be say na always your problem na say the make say what strong institutions are e promote integrity and any idea say Ghana for yetimi obi ehun say ade a me ya for me my Ghana say me ya Ghana be de e be ko ne me fa ne ntuma afira da bia na make say legal issue and a moral issue. There's a thin line between it and Ghana for yentimi split here. And no money be legal issue. The consequence should be legal. Wasn't it the moral na abe fa as far make it simple here because according to 3 more than a day. So we just supervisor we strobay na djuma here. Ghana for beka say ni 3 more than yam penasem maybe on the one ye be inefio. And no say no money na ma yentimi e ma institution kura kakra na won entimi ye den enye strong. Entimi pa na e wo mu no ye na yenya problem. This is a fix it the kan nyina ye dia. The can Ghana for see ya who you say. And she say be obia, but another issue say by default no any pankasa ye corrupt by default. And because of that you know and celebrate maybe and there's the rules, regulations and the control if America high we jatum na anywhere and not best but rules and regulations no the enforcement in Ghana for your how your supervision are weak. Yentime enforce and as kakran so yentime supervise there was supervision any because say or no so on say we in the year what do ntimi wia because we in the year you can't take advantage but no person or take advantage in it the action and sakura say one person no we in ni
I think doc say okay the next Ghana system in you because omo full soldiers e dey actually no nyina dream ne say omo so bedru su no ma dibi
anything ya na ka say current president so also Ghana to that level obetimi because one now no only 4 year term bi akọ onko 4 year term one say kroma say we fuma say wo wana letter ba just say we nya obi kwa na akọka wasema kire no the we answer letter na beto ho now we dey now wo
respond to the letter
just now wo enti say o timi de na si form the minister say o sha se feel so ho ne colleagues minister where you no what hwe na busy you say e ba ya wa na be resign because obi aka wenchiro one na be the obeko because e ja ba public say apa one na beko enti wasem beto ho ape e say master down ansa kwa na ehwem e say ma wo step down because you nipa bebrebe ho a behind on betem be bo system no aye adwuma aye ne enti say o sha ase aye say de kai wo ba wo ye ya master down na ye hwe wasemu ebe putu fierce obi obabia because you say ma nyame de yi a ebeye e na se me so esan se me hwe nti me hwe ma wo ase onye de wo se no nti me so am subordinate no the same law rules na me boss de ye sa na me so me de measure do want to be toward you best stand out to the lower level so be better master by ya anya ne sa na se fasi ya na etwem kwade ya sister fia ye be bress ye be kwa aba
na doc ma me bad the president mama de ya we declare assets or say the ministers na appointees na so bia so declare assets according to law but it appears the law here empty bogus useless if you ask me and here are the former auditor general can say useless. What the president should have done is change the law, then declare your asset to be able to say but asset declaration will be bottom there. What purpose does it serve us? Because the purpose again, the intention of the framers of the law no, is to check to use it as checks and balances on corruption of officialdom. But to be declare asset auditor general One the who said now what can you now we will not know. The citizenry have no part to play in checking the leadership. The President Mama said, President Mama per se 4 years or didn't make it change, make it impact party on chassis floor. What I'm what do you think, sir? Should the president only the middle of the year be said also change the law no and sign we're declaring assets so that everybody will follow suit to be a better way to at least one may be your can say declare your asset but declare it openly.
Yeah, it's just a fear. And then between because in auditing, you hear evidence. Also, your auditor, auditing, you hear evidence. You can't just bring a sheet of paper. Some me account and I'm at your office, but now just say, why listen, no, sir, now the Bejiska, now account and my head place, not my son check a man. Then a better. Just say, nobody will agree with you. And the super evidence, our auditor bit my verify. Say, you say, in auditing, we verify evidence. And any answer what you might check, will say, yes, we are right. And even though Emrana means a lot with my country, say, Emrana and a man acquiring no one can say, Emrana the anchor on declare.
Yeah, the law doesn't say the law says auditor general. The law not old law. And the law not be a demand, but the Romelo vocats, yes, some or not, some will declare.
Sanity, a here pa senka, as I said, a Honda horn into not a man Honda ho, and the a Honda one, you say a Honda honor. I was set or Messano. Nasa the Wakana, and Kawanoa Nako, you know, Manina, but Trabantene. Then I already busy. And another boy, I'm a moment do it, almost for people, just empty by Emma Metrobia. Why don't know, dear, no, every quarter, I don't know, and you just say, and I support that. A school of thought to say, I was set. Me, actually, that may not imagine poem say, or more, I declare, or be a dances. My medium class, just a rope. Seriously, actually, Metty, I will even
preempt the asset that you want to steal. So, you come back. We are two come on. We better make declare 3 cars. Not just
yeah, and then I was shocked. Seriously, and something is wrong. I'm getting there. Something is wrong. So I'm running on something. We need to change it. We need to change it. Say, oh, car me and Sampa. Me who na me observe say a car me and Sampa. And then no man, you know, what you bit my check is no money. I was away. I would dim. We would dim. Unim was I crack? I see me and name. I see it introduce or say start audit. And to say individual, just say the amount for start because now what can I say? One year capsule. One say me or Japan made a question more for a CBD. And I'm the question in your baby demo. This is a fancy made a comment. My Japan, they come off a 20-year guy, and I think we high school, your college. Yeah, I laugh or yeah, Juma Tambe, you know, you interest no money. You bit my standing to the next level. Say, maybe they come and me for a CB, I shot. So I call away time and we shot here, Juma, and the old living life.
Network when him the HHC minister.
Okay.
California, upon I say, Mohon, baby, actually,
hi, Jennifer.
Me talk about
yeah, the make say start auditing no. Sabi a bit more. They say men am abusiemu me declare maseta. Say me offer CB behavior, the style of living. You who say a course or see a fraquala no. Offer say no. Na yebusa no. Baby a wodi efiri baye. Sabi a bit me. Say me na media man me offer say na. Yeti me declare because sister fear. And no be course Ghana. Nipa bi was scared. Unwa bi omo diskere firi unwa adwuma yere omo ye we Kenya ban phone call you have individual bia you don't see exactly adwuma pa omo ye ebia na wonya politician ba na wo hye obi achi ana na esa no manya nti ye audit sankofo nya na yehu wo omo lifestyle kala misi ke be chi ni pa bebe omo so number ekwan bi so I support the idea say sa evidence omo show no there I think say nka mampanyini ebetima go back. Now what the answer what the sound man be show amanaya I think say nke be bo Ghana for Palmer said yes sumano no yet yes this is the president we need.
Mr. Dako, what do you think? You changing law now sorry I said declaration and I ain't changing no currently said it here no envelope I said declaration
me feel say president per se Oh yeah, so reset, genuinely reset there. I think until the time constitutionally, when we changes our law, no, he has some executive orders where he can use his
order.
That executive order. What's it? Obia me president must sign, and he has the mandate to do that because right now, at least one or majority, which close to 2/3. I don't know how how far.
Yeah. It is. You are correct.
Yeah. Indeed, this is the situation where he has to make sure that he exerts his power, rightfully so, because these things are getting out of hand. In the baby, say, you take a cutlass and cut through. You have to cut through it. Well, as to say, what could chat broadiano? Not no way chatting, neighbor fam. Now,
Donald Trump start maybe
one 20 year, that is going to, German for Udia street, lot of Kwan what the polls a beer see. No one children at home.
Yeah.
Fro. So, in next, to put a way I didn't ye dear, then reset it well. So, because if you want to reset something well, then reset it very well. When you reset very well, you can recover it. Now, one resetting ye dear, how do you recover?
It is that this kind of research foundation, let us to me recover you. Yeah, can go.
Please.
Analysis here,
I will not discourage them anyway, but I think they have to be a little bit serious and and firm in what they are doing because Ghana for Papa sometimes you may not make friends and that kind of thing, but here it's not a matter of making friends. Look, you are doing something for the general good of the public or Ghanaians. Because they be a individual, no, if I know the actual individual, because adia so oye na obia benefiting no ononkwa aden. Nti all the time no is ye jina faako. Na obia recha. Look, na Ghana for if he say, oh ya kwa nimpi. Look, nkrofo recha ye hu. Nkrofo recha Africa. Look, Benin, Togo. What they call East Africa, maybe if Ethiopia and East Africa, share one Ethiopia or Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, what the $303 million, see 53-story building. That is now the highest building in Ethiopia, 53-story. Young Bank of Ghana, then was it 250, which I think is even more. 250, no, I need to be 20-story. The difference of 250 and 303 million. Now, with 53 million no difference woman. Ultimately, see 53. No, just a young and then 33 story. I mean, come on. Oh, maybe we have mentioned you. Ghana for Musa say. Meanwhile, Ethiopia is a landlocked country. Answer what do one be Djibouti beba Addis Ababa. It is in Tamale 800 kilometers. So, and why I say Burkina Faso. It's Nipo. Also, our 4 cargo ships. They all come to berth at our friend then Djibouti. Now two ports. Now we need. What is wrong with this? Autumn flowers, autumn coffee, autumn tea, and our friend then one Ethiopia Airlines kakra. Share ukita more. I make it any gas kakra gas and even put internally. And over 100 planes. Okita Boeing, it's a Dreamliner 3. Okita Airbus 384. Sankita more than 100 planes. I think anyone fitiase. You need plane back. Just a near man of course, motion ye na grofuri try home. So ye jina fakuna won you know worry try won say when who sa when just suppose nya sa nya when you want say young should the year to kwan America, year to kwan UK, Germany nya. Young Africa Kenya fo or friend then Ethiopia fo Tanzania fo worry try home.
I think that point is very important.
Young neighbors, Ivory Coast and Senegal. Honestly, what I mean, but you started a fight, you know. I mean, we've started a fight. And I am soon in the first. Now, Mesora, the Bia, Mesora Bebro. Mesora, now, all that for me, I'll call means what Mesora was on was a rubber problem. No. So,
what do you think? Because you can make crime around. Say, make a fire who come to America and UK. You know, Africa no crap giant because I know my Ethiopia Airlines. No coffee, no keke. Coffee, no. Airlines near there. You were poor. You were airport. Ghana was your good no yene. You to me revive Ghana was so. Black Star Line crowd a good year crowd do. Only person. West Africa in a shipyard. We are ship say I know. I know shipyard. Go meet tema. Me temagia. Shipyard do good yene. A good.
Yeah, sister Fia. What would it? Kagame. Nikuri, Somalia. Who said that it is a nut, and you cry, I can say, Bepi Aquana because of the sea went. I think
Rwanda.
Rwanda. Well, but never said Papa Esia 10 Kurono, Ama almost see air court or woman. Then I to Ghana. I ain't him any. One was a number be all. I was saying to me ethically, no, your Timmy Suyan, you not start training. On a level, you will be a one. Say, school, I say, sir, ethical principles. I said, you quite a school, near training and quality woman, what ethics. Sabia, I did be all ye be a no, or when we said, me you wear and your papa, me you wear a board man, a your board manica, and I say, because over other countries, if you're where she are, not Ghana. Yeah, that's what to be at here. Yes, your title, Gateway to Africa. Near Jits, your boss, and some runners are. I suppose your comparison you have here, or more 18 chom cacrano. Or many they compare, young compare or more Macco money my chair and Empire, Enfang and Kayasep. Didn't I say your best year no more year, your Ghana for an Ancasa, your perception, your Juma Yemu, sister via if you're quite too quite cray. Banner Juma Bafro Juma de Tawa, Ujama, now or fed the Ghana and come to home Ghana. You see, still some man said no in so Ghana, Debbie any affair Ghana, enter Ghana because you have just heard it, and Maraja Jumo, Yampa, ya before Wendy will be a now. But you have said Ghana when you free, when you a crum, you see a queer media. I was so be I didn't effort the obey to me beyond. I said with me. But
It starts with leaders though. You can't afford the end name seeing to me here. That's governance. So they are my leaders. They are not Mr. Dako can say leaders now what other countries in their delivery. Yes, the other day I done an NDC MPP near they both football. Sister, we are not that I am for to go cry so that's meaning now mediocre.
Yeah,
we grow from there.
Yeah, and I make I say it I make I say from this current president, Mahama, His Excellency, or power to do because even in the parliament or which is our advantage. I'll bet me get the Ghana SC baby or the Ghana SC this time around because all my 4 years game. It is also their legacy be or bet me boy one is a fear. Ghana Yamra no upon a consistent no ankasano. A crab baby them 30 years no. I think must stabilize your democracy after this time, but I can't say be developer. Yeah, man, I'm gonna call him. Two, one say who loopholes be setback be womb. Say Chroma say the BC now who say way a from see apa now my pass law to correct it. Savia almost anya the end repeat some mistake na the Sabi no se Ghana ye. And no be at for 30 years I'm why ni biano. Yan reverse nyina because I'm why ya I'm why said na nyina said oyeke. E ya panyin e ditumi ahye ne sa no. So wotimi expropriate na adwuma yie. Na se make any ministers no or take it up now on an assessment or every 3 months or for cabinet meeting. No, be on report on set it up every 3 months. We hear report from cabinet meeting. Every 3 months, the minister will be a man report because report the minister of Jeffrey or more money. On to push you because when you have your own report, and the on tenacity, I said it what we are manager or manage you no on pulling reports. And a system, the synchronized system said, the minister require for my on one office with my police report to be there. Air cost no who the air cost. But in most cases, and no money be why I want one Yahweh. And paying for power, minister, I present or one shed and Yahweh, the air cost of power and Casa. I see her. But say, officer bit me a pull and yes, I report consistently. Trust me, say. Nipa no be adwuma because nipa we na maka by default they are corrupt. Ti wan nya obi obi supervise apushi o ma na ni nyina so ono na so sha ase fi ni crowd so. One me na make am say wan nya ni ya ese wan nya ni ese ye ma okọ.
Okay. But me share this issue. I don't know whether now unfortunately Council of State. I think one of the checks and balances amunyina mo kan was that like a Council of State bebo, a Council of State na say adane politics are. Minim say this year muhu ya adane atede. So it's as if say NDC abane was say NDC for on the Council of State. But I think the idea was that independent people, on betime two presidents for and in the four from abraboni muda how we in the before or hindsight experience here they come back check president to the four. But they say that say you bribe you. Council of State election okay you bribe. It's just that. Unfortunately, my former CJ, Yamami Sofa Kufu, she says she's there on her own right, which is true. My minute who she has so much balls, even on 1 year Kufu the crab bank crash, she went on demonstration against domestic debt exchange and go for dinner attempt. And I only asked an NDC for baby, so now praising my men. These are the same NDC for who insulted the woman and I Kufu the there no kind and then other complaining. This is about her money. I said, they say Ghana there. People don't even have the right to even voice their own opinions. But do you think that Council of State is an avenue? At least NDC and people cry here. It's an avenue and keep media cross check it system. No matter that. Said now okay. It can the Council of State save the day. And I said you'll be a toothless bulldog because say that it's an institution radio, DNO, auditor general, then you're winning. I buy no better no better point of the. Oh, I'm winning. Yeah, Parliament. Yeah, you'll be at yes.
Well, as long as one near can and binding, I mean, and yet something which can be say what can president offer. So no son, let's say talk is cheap. Let's say what no cafe, the tea, adina, one biscuit beer, we are president before. On full, say Niamoka country broke, country no broke. We all day inside now. What happened? So, but say BBA seriously, it has to be. They have to have something very binding. So, and yeni nana what kind of president aboegu? Let's say that in a way. Sesana, I mean the whole thing. The setup is okay. You are there. We put you guys from 16 regions and some of them who are by default, say CDS now, Chief Justice, IGP, pneumonia, some 4 or 5 people be once we back, come on, all inclusive. Now, can be a president in Fadia. I mean, cancel that thing. Cancel. It's all waste of money, waste of expenditure. Or what don't you think? Because I mean, say you cannot move Fadia. I mean, what's the use of it? That thing also is a relic. So that's a scano. Monfenye bibi, monfenye school adang. Na one in our walk way, maybe our bemo be a carbacon. And our friend then.
I think too.
Yeah, and in say, who command a Prado back, Uncle Supra $85,000. I mean, please come on. So, I mean, na ufa nipa 16 and 32 or 30. Just multiply it and see the numbers. And numbers don't lie. That's a kind of with the system university or baby, with the system. I mean, that helps. Now, as a drunken Sima, where she has access or this kind of on Susu, having you been was an any bottom discuss in the answer, never friade. I mean, it is Anagana. It didn't be free. When it 21 billion or baby, now go 3 billion or baby. And then that just what doing a year then down there how. So, kita 21 billion assets. And your liability assets will be na esika. Now all record for 3 billion there. 21 3 no 21 7 times. I mean, what's wrong with us? Come on, let's do something to and when I'm offering the president, I say Ujina. I mean, we nice man, we grandma or so what? Now consider one say Findeco. Me, Mama executive orders, Ubia, and then everybody should, then we keep track of it, and then so the computer war, no Ubia throw a war, friend, a website, we keep track of it and track it. It is simple. And no problem, what side you man cry one for my main pro bono.
I think I am a president to know a suggestion, and it's good. They said because we all want him to succeed. Because of succeed in Ghana, so you said, Mr. Daku, yeah, say a Tisicaso. Says we are sitting on assets. Say, okay, what do you compare Ethiopia? We have gold, we have diamond, we have oil, we have lithium, we have a harbor, 2 big harbors. Yes, I expanded harbor. No, we have some of the biggest. I think we are the biggest harbor in West Africa.
Oh, yes.
Because they are not switching Sierra Leone in Nigeria. We are a big harbor. Two. Takrade anytime. Yes, I will go cocoa. You want just well plus you saw human resource. But you one West Africa, you can't actually. And so a good advice. I'm my president. So I like what Mr. Dako can say. Executive orders. No, use some of the executive orders to shape the system. Because of this Sunday message, not every week the NDC committee. We don't need a committee. I'm ready committees for executive order. Trump, even if you don't like him, you can see some other. Also, Yanni also Yanni and now sorry, I was saying another executive order. I did change the executive order. Who the court and fan but you issue the executive order. It is issue order be the reset system. No, we are serious.
Yes.
Well, we are serious. We are here for a shakedown, a showdown. So, Doc, do you agree with Mr. Daku case?
Oh, yeah.
Serious executive order should be issued by President Mahama to shake the system. It's slow, no,
yeah, sister, and one because I tell you, I can't say a cost system near hopping because follow the drama, a bit delay. Once I want the power to use executive order, I said with Timmy Eddie and no year Juma more. Let me bomb my system, let me acquire name at me, said or pen on reset what Timmy reset it because or Cassie acquired a normal way there, a big coast saloon, a better said the 1090 on pen means or the bear. Now, another area, checks and balance on the 3 arms of government. Me problem your parliamentary system, no so. One more way of checking the government. Your constitution and a massa no money. Imagine your constitution to the Kenyanka or more review. No, one more parliament in Yan on Yan separate. On Yinaho, may a new minister be every parliament. May a new minister be in parliament, say USA. We a senator and congressman 1 hour. We need be secretary, or you are from other places. Sabaya, on betting hold the government accountable. Right, because say I know always I say Omuma Sango for ya name is Oman a Bessiamba and no a match a balance a week. And a Julius so number no doors US ground when 9 US Omoye 9 Omoye 9 but Ghana US Omoye 9
how 7 7.
You see,
Germany see a 7.
7. So at the internet Ghana cricket we Ghana California crab so ache. Now you 19, you don't pay the then dear
California Congo is catching the whole Ghana Congo is catching.
What I say, now you cover 90 year the penny,
What's
dear
the
bad uncle for them.
the best world economy? Caliph.
And no pass I see a check by a check a balance on it might effective because you'll be in a Juma and I will be opposed in jail. Juba said, a memo will be a Jina, I get the way because Bassa 1 year behuno and I Ghana for 9 thousand. I was a team tackle your MPs, no, Kroma, sister, oh yes, senator, and a congressman. None of the Omoparwania, what to be see a flow pie, also cause a 1 year careful. One I'll be quite there's a way. And the Ghana we should learn that kind of activity say, 7 constituency, when you know, Monfrano and put pressure on the soap. Now, when you're the right thing. So President Bonnie Yamon permit to push Sabia obey the right say yeah naturally na ya Ghana for na ya nkasa na ya to MP no mko ba dia de bia obey sa another area nso ye this assembly ne our say ya omo DCMCC nyina yem vote om so sa de mra na nka ba I think they should bring it back Sabia be my government I nketo na obi be responsible along the line yen nya na ekwakopi ekose ekokofie aban na ba locally no now, Mama, you move control and baby within area. And say, one team here, this one team here. Next year, you have to and about answer and quite MP before one and MC. A bay MPP and this MC. What I say, then a Buama check and balance committee, a Bama, the essay will be a piano. Why I think they be a year him as a country room. A see where son no money in na etimi putting in place be wetin but they said Mr. Kan I was say executive action there Mr. President bonbon has an issue now you should be boama the person we be ano etimi because by law no wetin aye to one use no now will be a one year adwuma ye bia na onyi ne firi ma won entertain will be a we nye family and friends and then je ma ho be onyi onim firi
I agree with you. Me person man for joining up. Almost to share our views on that, but I think they're good. Said my professor be professor from Pro, they your constitution will cry the yet a chomo, a bogus, a useless. One of the errors in the doc now can constitution say for majority of your ministers from parliament. What is the checks and balances now betting me? If you love behind these ministers, be bringing you be able to your minister.
Aye.
So into you never know be minister not say MP. Dear the checks of parliament to bet me at check. Yeah, na the action. Yeah, na the action. Yeah, or man for say okay, dog. Yes, so you assume your leaders, you know. We don't demand for us America to go share leader, no. In protest. Only have a congressional hearing for approval of a in protest. Yeah, the process of buying family yet. She said, we don't even understand the system.
Right.
You assume your leaders, you know, instead of checking them.
Yeah.
Now we disappoint you, we are not better social media. But our job, you know, we failed from day one. We are not checking.
Yeah.
By checking other people, you're checking technocrats, no. Professor Biba, no, but China, they're checking. Yeah, Professor, I'm Boagan. Me want new revision want to about my professor. No, new revision professor on control national asset BR. Me want politician or control gold, oil, me and no. Ono no ohuna honorable honorable his excellency omum near from. So we are lost. We are lost. And until say politicians also panic because the more lost we are, the more they can abuse the system and get away with it.
Yes.
Any into person joining, I may say person joining Richard good evening. Okay, Richard say not to come Mr. We work as a microphone, but any final thoughts? Mr. Dako, how to my advice president, the so use the executive order, snip powers now, or one or non-checking system there. But beyond that, for the people of Ghana, so dear, you bet me any about president to succeed. So because no, I think it's gone on too much. What can we also the people do to support the president so that at the end reset na happen you bet me yani ehun faso
Mekaibe 67 ho baby na or early 70s anymore na Jackson 5 when you be one friend the ABC 1 2 3 inti we have to na me late brother Oraka A, B, C. A for attitude, B for behavior, and C for character.
Right.
Okay. Indeed, we have to change our attitude, behavior, and character, which simplifies everything like a 1, 2, 3. Okay. Indeed, say to me, yes, I 1, 2, 3 now. I mean, we are good to go. And yes, I did. Now, yes, I had yes. I said, Ghana, walk. I had yes. Now, one guy be waba me fi ho ba be tires, and I me who say send you and I say owura. Send ya adi away Debbie Debbie. And I me catch and say and say, hey, if we dey home. And I say, aden na de bia mo de moka yes. You see, because it's insanity. What Albert Einstein would say, we keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. It's not going to happen. You know, you can't expect a different result if you keep on doing the same thing over and over. It's a merry-go-round. And then, I don't know. Ubeka se wansa obi efiso. Inti kana for the answer ana yemura or was no say osa obi firo so there then the meet.
I'm saying Yakupo ya no cry brain because you know okay. Doc any final thoughts now okay. Doc any Mr. Dako say ABC and change attitude, behavior and character. I think these are the three things are gonna force yempe say beti. Yempe say leader system by yempe say best. What do you think?
Yeah, I think say yeah partner, but the message at the account you say baby a obefa yourself be a manager there. Baby a office and now baby a will be a manager there. Say resource the amount obe managing the year that particular area now. This say me feel kind of me managing me year, right? Me managing me year will be a managing me year once collectively no society need to build a good society. But as I mean, many go to no be able to negate kakre de asha won se bia no where you weni umpeso beti weni na why there then what they can't say no cry answer na de adusro enti ya nkasa obi am manage de owo resource bia obi am managing wisely abuse no ma me bag last year na me kwa over car o bonsu enti car na me duru no na me bosit na I drag a brand no be no and I'm a folk I'm a boss seat bed. And I am an old seat bed. And the one who was at Minfree. I was here to me, you was a young Cassia life here. And the baby and the year, the aboa one community kakra where the Ufrimu. That to me, I was a sana yanse attitude. So now I Mr. Dako. Na ebe jana sadia ye be back to one master na say obia we yi no akoto aba yi ne say onkodi woni bia holding responsible holding responsible anything akoto aba de ebe no but the other side no say the woman say Ghana for na ansa na be you be no one say ese yen say the right people because yeah they can koton yensa ansa na ufa political yi na constituency chai for no kwa no I'm about to about you a man for akwaji scans and akoto man the way they can't integrity what they can't on duty but sadness ye jai na yem based on merit who somebody and omo qualified to be our leaders ese yentimi nya papa sa akoro be yetua ntimi se na yetua mankrofo bi akogo omgo duru ade so mo ye pa no nya de omo nya enye yem fandi pa omo deserve merit obetima ya ade na boa ye is not about ebia na say we and say enyemenua aname ofa but the obetima de why ye adwuma no ene yesi de ye de kwotno watima boa because ba akofo timi ade your sister be boa community ni nyina be boa obia amobi say they want him yana na kwotno na de wo yenso eso mamfa so bia agede maye nyina
and but in my small experience in corporate world Ghana for now so baby I will be a manager ukoye manager na so na uni me ya to me in the past. See, I'm a friend. I just go. Then later on, they said, "Oh, you should share any more person here, Jumano." That's how we are. Now, if we, Mr. Dakuba, come sit in Chromatano. See, I bear you my day and swat ADC. See, we poisoned ourselves. Besine, and I'm on my Agrogano. Nti ye leaders so ba house aban dwuma de see e kon ye mfa so a. Ono so na to kan na okọ. Want to make
bad mindset.
I also prosecute no. We come back to square one. It's just sad. But this is the omina inherited no. Mama Riches, ma good evening Akwaba.
Good evening, Sister Fia.
Good evening. How you any thoughts?
Sister Fia, it was a Quenya way out there, mommy. The Dika, me bo lawyer AK Poku Abaso, Nijumedia Udima, Ghana for USA. The message was to be a OSP, withdrawal of tag now the two,
OSP, okay.
so fugitive, yeah. A pass why withdraw where you start tagging the free so. I'm saying Jordan and make come once and say, start tagging in fact, annoying and yeah, idea or the two visual a year easy, sir. Now, me message say OSP is there. Where you tagging on side? I apologize because he was wrong in the first place because when we say we a mistake now, why withdraw there? On apologize because he defamation case biya say ebe sabe cost your mind nti won sa apologize na bibia and talk am na fe case no on to aso ba ye panelist and omo ba ye na mo ka bibi say ye sika no na e wo say ye free no ye sika no fine ye wo say ye sika but se si ano ye charge nipa no even cases no kra na say charges are ye fan say OSP ni pese ode bono no o hwɛ deɛ ɔde baeɛ no a ɔnhyɛ da mention figure bi sɛ ofori ata afa sɛ sika wesi anaasɛ wayɛ si ɛyɛ questions bi na ɔpɛ sɛ obusabusa no fa ebi te sɛ example or cancel contract with ECG any company foreign company bi those are in ɛnhyɛ da nyɛ figures ankasa but ebi a ofiri ohun sɛ ebi a correction bi wɔ akyire anaasɛ ebi a ɔwɔ cancel na ma bibi or minor boka yes but yes wa fa sika bi and wa wia sika no na odi akoye de opeso de enti no ebi oso no mo se ka bibi se nipa no oyare na o se oja ho no oba no obeyi question no yare de nipa de koye surgery fine wadi ka ko o se ye check no ye hu surgery kura ye ba be ye no e na surgery kura no koye no ukone se ye check wa enya amunumu hɔ a na ɛwɔ sɛ yɛ perform surgery no bi wɔ surgery no bi wɔ yɛ mouth time nti ɔno no ohun sɛ bi a ɔsɛ ba Ghana no ɔsɛ ba back no bibi atimi to no wɔ kwamu nti no o stay ha na doctors na monitor no kopim so ɔbɛyɛ surgery na ada ne yɛ ma ne kwan no ne yɛ ka sɛ onja hɔ na ɔmra Ghana mbɛyi ano ansa na wasaba ne deɛ me ne ɔmo nya adwene yɛ ma na kwanya no na ɔnsa ne ho yare oye surgery ni wi ase de ka no me no eduru ho na oba Ghana de o bia no ye betimi e atwa so nti this is
on 12 February 2025 special prosecutor declared Kenano Ofori, a former minister, a wanted person and a fugitive from justice on the grounds that he had failed to indicate a reasonable time of his return to the jurisdiction. Although he had been informed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor that he was a suspect in various suspected corruption and corruption-related cases, he had been directed to physically attend the OSP in Accra on specified date and at the specified time for interviewing. On 18 February 2025, Mr. Ofori transmitted a communication through his lawyers to the OSP by which he stated a definite on 18 February, Mr. Ofori transmitted a communication through his lawyers to the OSP office by which he stated a definite date of his voluntary return to the jurisdiction. This marks a major shift from Mr. Ofori's previous intention of remaining outside the jurisdiction indefinitely. And you say, but as of 18th January, no, almost a letter from the lawyer for indicating definite data of a sign at the Ghana.
Yes, and this is your first one now. Okay, say only mean definitely no. So oba ye na fe na ye check no. Nti no, ye ntimi ama na exact data or the be any surgery.
Okay.
Nti no, em say odi catch up first one okay say indefinitely no. Na onim time ye be any surgery. Nti ye man na time or the be surgery any after surgery no be a recovery kakra or be ansa no watimi aba no. Nti no matimi atwa akọ no. Nti na ni nyina mu no OSP no e wo say bibia mu onya abotre eje gidigidi ni yɛde ɛkɔko mmara ho nsɛm ɔsɛ onya abotrɛ because sɛ onim sɛ ɔwɔ case paa tia no a onya abotrɛ ma yɛ na sɛ biribi wɔ mu na ɛwɔ sɛ yɛn nsa ka ɔman ne nsa ka sika bi mu a wɔanya abotrɛ no wɔ gidigidi a ɔde saa bɛkɔ akɔdi fɔ wɔ court ho na afei ɔman no sɛ biribi wɔ yɛn nsa ka yɛn nsa nka nti mɛda ase bɛsi wa na
Yeah, that's a baby. Mr. Hinton, good evening.
We'll get two guests, and I think I like what they were saying. I did like that. Now, yeah, brother, can say, sometimes, who how Ghana Chrono they wanted it to be. Ghana Chrono, I'm serious. Citizens are Ghana, they are good. Be a city in your Ghana, be a good. We guys work at the ABC. Yes. And Benny Juma, Ghana in Babasa, because Ghana for two coin now. They were there. But what do about country? They are able to do what they need to be done. It's one life in your good. Ghana in Bia good. Say and Benny more Ghana in Bia Basasa. It's in Nagina and Brother Wash or Ghana. Them work at the Ghana Juma phone to go away and there and all Canada. I am Brano at the same time, See me who how sometimes they had to be an but more for one problem. What there Ghana Akechi compared to other countries now, Ghana Akechi because yesterday to Konyanda, but same with the Ghana no air than Akechi. Someone will be better than us or can be or Ghana there, 1 month of 1 year there, 1 year there. Me who how it could be or it couldn't be that. Mahama miss a question whether Sisi Mahama Soba. Nasa already so when this KBR one first KBR or be better about Chinatuma.
No.
Okay. And so some Mahama too much and one of us ways is care and what much you want to man. That's only when this that's what they because maybe it's a question with the system how can they take the system off? System will take off for that and one of us away here on they have to come and face the charges. A yellow saying yellow, whatever because it what you know I don't know how sometimes if 1 month of 1 year done 1 year day, 1 year day. That's because in one so about 4 years, the same thing I want so back there. If so, I answer the same thing. Some Mahama to the monk of free or 2 years then accountability be able to face that. Only no Muhammad when they come back, I'm also going to face the same thing. Some a block or whoever, I'm going to face the same thing. So I have to make my things right. I'm a member my dimension.
But Mr. Hinton, you were lost no rules or you could not bring somebody to answer questions. Can I offer rules to me?
Yes, it's like Ghana and Brano, and I'm the main and alcohol. Because the way I watch it, she could, if ever one casino politicians, if ever one away and paying for Ghana or one of Wisconsin, then benefit one. And in that case, in some of the guests, Junior, I like them because and Ben watch your gun, or favor one castle. And in that case, the BBI you want to say, Mahama, that's also a accountability. We have to support him. Because I can't wait there. So North Korea or for minutes or while you pray before you get that because and what I call mistake baby Oboku. Japan, I can't mistake Oboku. And you want to work for minister, you pray, your family will pray. Then you don't inherit any issue there. I'm making a problem. But Ghana no work for minister or dress white because skinny go or best on what call. And see, sometimes I hope that Jerry and I ever catch in Ghana. Only about Nado, Paralist, and Onkano, Ghana. Then you was supporting not yet to be the same situation than we face because the reason tell me America there, one of Ghana, they don't know. That might be Otton, because of commons, Oniska. Inside that moment, in them 1,000 of Bajano, I would tell you to men with it. But the mean for Juman, John for the same message, don't get them 1,000. But only Juman, no, I don't budget them 1,000, no hot because that day, no more business for being annoyed than I is the man. And in that case, now out there in Yanka shoes, say to Ghana, how are you going to feel over there? In that case, I am more than being better work there and you did there. Actually, say offer be opinion and you be a friend the same area. In your okay, your position within seconds, you know. Into put them in and because the reason that way is be okay, or castle being Kebi. But hey, after the senator, you can call the senator right now. About answer, no office by answer. One answer the phone in the bed and answer. We should be able to
on the head, then we are more interested in 20 Ghana and 50 Ghana.
Yes,
ministers more than even to ask these questions from our senators.
Yes, it's in that case, you know, and Breno, I don't say the Ghana for no, they are good. Ghana, you also took on about to trash and then bought to.
No, we are good outside the country, but we are not good within our country.
Because of Breno, in Breno, because some man may say, we have to pay the Missana. If for baby and the motor to batch, it's in that case, why the mayor. Then you be in the motor to for batch, it's again in the batch. And it's a calling bill, man, on 24. But the reason is, you cannot. Obaji police you want to because president so I don't blame them. This cannot so no. Because Otia dan call the 2000. He pay 2000. So how is he going to pay? It's I don't find means to be able to why the why. No ministers, Obi Abaji, no ministers you find about the appointees. So minister MP. At the same time, so he's going to be a minister. How is he going to work? No, and say running here, you my papa or there. We'll make sure that but I am here there, you know, welcome to me. We are supporting them. If you are, I'm afraid that your bumper when you the basis and puncher is better to give an account. I'm a next time no how much you mistake. Nothing that no so yala when you baba. And in that case, he's not going to do that mistake. Now, what's the same be said? I'm questioning. Now, no, because as he mama so what by you. And in that case, is that now you have to be careful. There, some mistake they are going to do to me. And in that case, now them go there, be perfect. In that case, be say. I want to watch the way I go no what to watch it in my way because
yeah, I agree with you. Mr. Hinton say more and find your money. Oh, answer, but what I'm saying is there are rules and regulations. Some of these rules go way back to Nkrumah time 1960. The rules must be applied. And also charging the panel officially so that then if the person is a suspect in an investigation, then you can apply the rules and then bring the person back. I'm not about Romeo or say already they will extradite some of us will extradite Ofori. Patrol, go ahead. Extradite him if you have the balls or you have the powers. Social media. I have food data, I have food. You have come to sit here and extradite him. Obviously, about publishing address, but your publish his address. Dodo. Yeah, the laws need rules there, you know. Special prosecutor can't be declared will be wanted. And no power sign because he does not lie in special prosecutor's mouth to do something. There's always a limit to what you can do and what you cannot do. What in China we were civilian, also be extradite you be now can say extradition, sorry, and extradite and like I said in Amtamago, extraditing in my simple so. Lovely Busa question because if you look at Burkina Faso, this 36-year-old president has changed the country. Obusa question, has he changed the country? They are exporting rice, onion, and even strawberries to Europe. But be careful, me see. Someone say military the be about no can for I am on to Rollins by Sahani, no let the blood flow. If we any can say did Rollins at them. If we any can say did Rollins at them. Military people don't work with rule of law. Be careful. Or buy and change. The say all is rosy. This is how they all start. A champ for buy any export it. Right. In the end, the champ for Ghanaian shooting rate. We fired him and shot him and killed him to death. We killed the champion. The fact the champion pon my tongue. Yeah, exporting a brownie rice. But we killed the champion. You had somebody like Burkina, but you killed the person. You killed the free fat. All supported by Ghana for who sell the blood flow. The same Ghanaians. So what do you people want? That's a good evening.
Evening, sister here.
Wait
do you ever your tea for California? First of all, me take a call because say special prosecutor no apologize.
Yeah,
he needs to apologize. I think he doesn't understand the process that the special prosecutor went through to enlist the ex-finance minister on that page, declaring him wanted. The letter now they buy, and I don't know, so can be or something, because
me can portions crack there no.
Because as may sure say he enlisted him based on say or the letter he didn't declare the exact day or beba. No a question. I think that was the process.
Yeah.
It seems like media no chair Ghana for no what the process na say. It's just like say police invite you say bra. Name so as now soon him da obeba. They will automatically declare you wanted. Oh, see sometimes as a boy they go through information here and some normal but also more can be issue. Going forward, I know you were talking about access declaration, corruption matters. I think that it should, yes, constitutionally, they should declare the asset before they are sworn in. But I don't know, say be an
Asset declaration law na kata chada papa. Who declare you crying their question box mune they say. So that was my point. It's not serving the accountability purpose. No,
well,
the law ni by. I was said they open public record. Some more broach a public record.
At least it should be. It's a social media, so it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. About the two, I think the President Mahama needs to go a step further. So with the fortunately, yesterday I heard say one more up to the 1st of March. If you don't declare your assets, it's either you be punished or you lose your job.
But still, like to be under the old law, no, old law, no, the question that community, we will still not see it. That's why the way the suggested to President Mahama saying, "Can you say law?" So that the man will say, "Who declare it to be public?" Now,
it should be public.
Will say, "Okay, back no, or fear back no."
I think. Domilevo, I raised that issue. And I think the president will take, because if you answer the declaration, we want the public to know the things that you have before you came to government. Said the lifestyle change. You say there is a problem. There was something going on, as in the lifestyle audit. You say you are getting funds from somewhere to fund some certain type of lifestyle. You understand? It's in the right course. At least when your assets is declared, it should be published for the Ghanaians and people that they live with. You know what you have. Fine, politicians need to be so coming from a point of view. Say the more people get to know their assets, the burden that comes on them. Because Ubu and the family member be when you say politician will be there. A hot not in a problem, and our community will look
yeah, but so yeah, decide you be and declare. In fact, the law is the law. Public office your choice. Opa, come how ye. You young comfort baby one no busa no me dey me public office. Me obusa me MP me ko ye bida. Or politics me ko ye bida. So it's a choice. So once you go in, you know say asset declaration can one because US nominate Germany, they declare it publicly. So because you might excuse that, they be say yeah, you to be check away.
And it's true. It's true because politicians in the forward, the president has to, mount pressure on them. They declare their assets, and the next step is to publicize or to publish it for people to know the assets they have. In the lifestyle and start change, there we come there to audit the lifestyle. Say A, B, C, D, E, which will help Ghana in that direction. Say fighting corruption. And next time you're going in that style, as people, I've heard so many people saying, "Oh, there's nothing new going to happen in Ghana," but we are watching and see if Mahama can do something new. Even with the asset declaration or still on famous say somewhere, something we need to commend him for. You understand? It's something that we need to commend him for.
Asset declaration, and you'll be about you.
But
but we just don't see it because no can say the public.
If you can state for a fact, say public officials will be an asset declaration.
Law. They all do it. It's just not public record. Since I became a journalist, but nobody can access it. So it's one of the things I need to push for Right to Information Act. Now you push someone in the public, so they'll be able. So a journalist can also apply. Say no, you can say who say in order to check corruption, you put all day. All costs no ordain, but that nobody knows what is because I call auditor general.
All right, and then I heard something on the news which I was not quite happy about it. And count topics and all there, but I heard Ama Kofi Boa, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, complaining in Parliament, say still there are people occupying the natural reserves. They are still mining about 50 people, about 40 people at the reserve still mining illegally. I'm saying, why do you come to Parliament?
There's a showdown between some people. Marco blockade. One of the forest reserves are government or more.
Then I was like, Amakofiba, if you cannot do the job, you just step aside, let the serious people come in and do the job. Because we didn't appoint you to come and complain. As in coming to Parliament to come and complain, lamenting that there are 40 people at the reserve still mining. What power now the amount not the year then? You need to at least you draw the attention of Minister of Interior and they do something about it. But about the Parliament, they can't I didn't know about.
I think I'm so much updates. I think they are in the process of watching perform, but he's just giving an update to Parliament.
No. From the way he was talking, it was like a complaint. And as a minister, you should be bold enough, take measures, engage the Minister of Interior, take an action, than to come and lament as if, there are 40 people still mining at the forest reserve. Meanwhile, you have the power, you have the police, you have the military, everything. You have it. So why do you come and complain?
Okay, let's give him time. I think he will work on. He's doing it.
Well,
but I think now, Parliament, you have no choice but to go and give an update. So I think that's what he's doing. He's not doing anything.
That one is true, but once instances like this give Ghanaians the room that they are the same. They are just scratching the face of the issue. You understand? Ombeki can say they'll be buying time because we are almost like 50 days into President Mahama swearing in, and we're not seeing any effective like fighting of Galamsey. Maybe any effective
so to be fair, I think you are being a little unfair to him. The man has just been a finance minister, friendly woman. To be fair to Amabua, give him time.
But don't complain, but instill hope. My mom for who's obeying me, baby, and me casa be brave. Me, I had it, and I was totally angry. Say if you are into fight Galams, fight it. Don't come and make it look as if say the problem is so huge that you can't fight it.
Okay, very well.
For no afraid, simple. If you are
well, it's simple. First simple, sir. For these are people, most of them are armed. They are armed. And they have alternative. You know, conniving with some of the chiefs near the it's simple, sir. Before a minister and the tax force be able to, he must make sure that was a backup. So the journey and baby on he has blocked it. So I want to multifaceted again defense. Any of the Air Force, I was so new in Akata so that almost fly drones, almost fly aircraft. So be yes or Johnny baby, they can use that to capture where they are going and deal with them. You know, Parliament, I think he was just giving a report, but I just was shed that say he can't do the work. But you heard it, says so chairman Kaka. Having good evening. Set up action now, but we should be the man has barely been a minister for a month. But you heard it, Abutre.
Mr. Fia, good evening.
Good evening.
Na pomwe.
Adom also.
Adom ishiache.
Good.
And the topics now, and I say, and then some, first of all, migration, yes, so to me, update immigration, say, me, anoma, sabi, omuning krata, no, bit me, asho, mohosu ye. In a mompa, more say, I don't wish anybody to be because we are Janet Japadi ho, a tongue, and your mother be no abem, na exnabe who's uni ho, Tia best says, see, and say, who's me and ye, who gaga, say, Chinchina, chime, a quack, you money at so. A problem be bree, and in same be bro. Said the lawyer, can I to a mojane woman who drain you at once?
I swear.
Oof, easy. Says one we are bedroom so crass, and you bedroom so because who or more physical appearance and a crana. I mean, trust me, while who's a memory and not form.
What will be one way at home?
Oh, and I will be Mahumbi or Mahumbi or me area.
I'm a mother fan for Ghana any be a mother fan.
Mate say Miami Huni Pebi and I say a master baby BB says am I now so into yet now so I say in Ghana for us or say church members na na sempany for no mo secure sorry no like mbetuma
Yeah,
lock sorry no
mhm,
entrance no it is
mhm.
obi church member na ba ebi omia bell so ana so obomu ana ofro obi e wonim na no abebie no because omunya access to premises na only choice obi any choice pastor whoever or only choice also allow mom yo maduma and to avoid them no omuntimi mu dan ni murem.
Just say Ghana churches omo lock it omo obe mo na ma lock it
no. Yes, so uremu and no lock the door no. Enti church member bi ba na se obi ba adwuma bi obi ba kra no obel no ke ne mo bie no. So what I say?
Mato ase.
Hello?
Okay. Yankwa other issues no so eh. Yankwa the other issues no so eh.
Enti yo and that topic no OSP media to me no me who say OSP no I just hope so secure na adwuma. Onim de oye. But I would rather wish he say President Mahama best crab side at the end free or and for so be any so. Say OSP o ye waduma and as answer be declare be wanted no. No one na me no. This was some yes I. So what
I don't know why because me who say there's snowstorm in some of states.
If you
don't know affect you now.
Hello?
Oh dear need to just see. I don't know so be about me movie position kakra. Mr. Amposa Mr. Aka wo ho answer but Mr. Aka say I don't know so why you ready so be kasa ha no aben we you know. Na because now do any ache baby ha pacho nti
o me get you for your beauty bia me tie wa che da bia bi tie o me one day here me no ofake mini papa me MPP ni pure nye nchen kra but MPP for you
na say the on me say broken heart no still kakra ho
Ghana broken heart nche no me ka kire no me say 2020 ni lusu ye me kan me di ka kan me di ka Canada but obi so bia me ready yi pa but me ma ready so kran kasa bio since 2020 we call Ghana by me kasa ready to build that opa bi so bia
2020 na won say before the ombe luzu
me na me catch no wafia me catch bi so ofake say we chama me say be ko me catch say e lusu before I say na ka de Japan kra beka because me hu no me bi e ko say me be Ghana me ba 2020 ni na covid na mo Ghana me nim de na ko nyina party e di akire be trading e be to aba obi so obi onimi pa eno kra ye mpese be kana kra Ghana yakata no kra so ani ama boni adi nkunim afia ensema mpanimpo mi no betena doctor na yi be kan eyem it say eno ma bi wo ho a obi wo ntu kwaida ana obi wo tu kwaida so no ma bi wo ho a onko nkro tu nko hu se de nkro bi si eyom nyuma nti wo kan ba bi otenko asem na wo kan ba mo tutu kwa ko ba bi bebre no o mutimi no ma bebre matna hold at matna Spain abetna Britain ha matna Germany nti minim Africa countries cry kokran Cote d'Ivoire nyina matna Cote d'Ivoire ma de papa Cote d'Ivoire so many times mina miswa what you fear nti no ma bi wa ye kan mo mi en kan no kore no nkire ye ho anya enye ya kata so mu so saa na MPP ba bi ye ko wie no so but en kore wo no mpanimfo na yo magin so omonka NDC for a plan say in some bebre omo kan nya no kore but na wo kan we play to no ya play to 30 years ni constitution no anything na Ghana for atwa ba NDC for say bibi ekuta bibia mu na bibia mu mfa mu nya adwuma no say the Ghana for pe constitution no betima sesa no say mu nso a ene de maso nti mu sesa no nti NDC for exam to ya me de mo afia fa to bodeti to ne say NDC for ahwe no ma yi ne so man sesa no ma bebre no me ye pleto so na light ni ho na ho ahwa ni wa na anim se bi ni ho enye yi na so beje so ba be ye miya no kwanu tum de obetima ye ye Ghana for nyina hu se na obi ntimi nya na ejima awo na Mahama ntimi nya na ejima awo enti se wa ba Mahama sa ba bi wo a ye hwede Mahama be ye enti Mahama 4 years ye wa be yi wo so akwakosunya nyansa na wasa ba Ghana for nyina de ni hwe no enti ye besle se de obi am da be di ni bia obi ko wie sika sebe mi MPP ni ko wie sika o amfa sika na bia am na mani o enti me nya na me kokko ntokama no o ti ade o di sika na me nka ho bi ye de obese se be ye dwuma ma o my Ghana na be di o man sika ne duro ne ye no ko a na me ma ba be gina abede me kwa bitwa so ama wana enti ya me ka che mo ya mo kontokwa am akire ni se emfa so bie ni so ewia so bie ni wonye bone a ye beka so aye bone Manon cock no coin one or cock no dibima. I am rat near the Juma. Emra near the Juma. Say Emrani Yajuma, twine and a so ruby. So Prim Fita was a yunkum. So, Mr. Ghana, may say, onu obi to a catch us will be a readia. Ukufwa do I say? A dia on also on or high a dino. Sa airport health on a dino who besides the car or general man, and says canoa. Obi say on also begin also besides or send a year in a canoe. Massa, and Tinipa Yangura. Ghana for the new and this is me pese e won a topic ad by Dawson nipa bi so so ba asem a ye kasa bi ye kan kasa beguo ye ni obi adwuma wo ye e bia ni mpa ko extra job bi se bi obi ni obi nkasa obi anyese ba asem bi obi ka wi twantro a se wo to kora na afie wo ye adwuma ya che adwuma wa ya che
ni evidence so twantro I can assume or so twantro
ma de me kan wo ja se enti na me ka jo se enipa na asem wo ka no obi ka asem wo twa bi hu na de aye dey wo de adansi wo na den ho no wo ka se no kure se yampa say a die or high so 150 cities so obi dia no high so no one deal ebi na yo kase na yo kase obi a declare access but access ni declare so ye mo obi anye de emfena ni hu enti e betu ba bi no sa ade na ene dia kra na say o se na offer ase dia e be na watime kase wo kwa kwaje afia on ase bi obusa question bi a na etoma wa enti ye nyina ye nyansafo se bi ye tie na nyensem na betime aka obi enu a akoche obi so obi wi ade be ka se fa evidence bra eli na wokan mimi ni obi akọ wi ade o ba nipa na sem a woka no ene ehwe adwuma nipa na ye ene abraba wabọ na wohwe no ma bi a ono kire se wowo ana de oya efia nipa nyankola o sika nya magic na pede free yoma ba o
yo yate
nti de me kan da amanfo nyina ase
yo bani aka ye da say now join me samposa good evening
Evia
baje akwaba
yeah na afom to say
adumara kwampacho so
and yami adon na men kasa kase I think say ka one me be ya adwene dia say asset declaration ko nyai because you be ya ne dia ya camera ne say ne be ya obi abaya you know be ya say be ya nkwara sa say enya de on be publish ebie so am ye hu de wo mu a paper wo ne be kire ne de yenye paper ne de paper no de be kire ko obi anim de nti said the number and mpanimfo ne mo kan the omba ba keke bia no to me if it's down to me there senya dia e bebie paper ni mo akenka de obi aso wo ni etu amanfo amonwa akwakorɛ sɛ ɛwɔ hɔ ampa anaasɛ eni hɔ ampa we shouldn't waste our time and I think say the media and then the people are nipa etikuru no ya entertain saa de wo ya na you mpanimfo no de wɔn wa yɛ ma wɔn position no ɛyɛ wɔn da wɔn di edi agoro wɔn di edi agoro akyɛ me to me I think say if they can open the paper read it na yentu media mo nkɔhwɛ na yen nyina yen ni ho adanse ntwerɛ nto wɔ sɛ ye de adwuma ma amponsa no ɔba no na ne da baako ne ntoma baako na taade baako a yen hwidi wo hu megina TV so kra emfa pipa hyehyɛ wɔ de tagye nansɛm kra ɛyɛ nim guase kra we hwidi ensa sɛ esi kra enti no so wontum nya de a wo mu ntwam kra na wo mu nya sɛ da bia obi aba na ɔbɛkeka sansɛm na kyerɛ yɛ de to so yen nyina yɛ te ha ɛna yɛto abewie yɛ sabe ye chesi nipa ye ni aga na fo no kuro no mu mana ebi di tuo en nam office enso so ye wa police fo wo kuro no ye wa soja fo wo kuro de ye mi yakra ne say look at na no kuma say aba wo mutu a police fo gina ho no wo sagu wochi en na nipa ye de wo pe se wo ko ye gold wa wo mutu gold man se ni ade ko fe de isi wo mafia wo de se man so ni ade de ya ni ya fikiri kokoshe de esi wo wa wutie de cheso nwa kotara wo say yesoso no ya na ya ban aba ya ma yesoso ye ntubi na ye entertain sa ne o ma we nyina eti no me mo dia I think say it's about time so say entertain sa de ti the best no obi atwa so why
yo ya da se bebre so no want to adwen cha o de aba nana da good evening
Xavier, I'm just now. I want to say,
yeah, but you also.
Yeah, with the young couple want to send and so they are saying, your brother about cover Casamania Jipa. One Ghana agrobin ye the concert ye de. Xavier, dear Tina Meteho. Now, say mean declare masters and me wo. na matwerɛtwerɛ na obiara nim kɔpem sɛ mɛyɛ adwuma wi kyɛ sɛ metena ase na medwene ho a asɛ Ghanafoɔ adeɛ bi wɔ hɔ a yɛyɛ a yɛnte aseɛ because sɛ mopɛ sɛ yɛhu nokora a ɛwɔ mu a ɛsɛ sɛ adeɛ no ɛyɛ open na sɛ obi twa ntoro a yɛtumi akyerɛ sɛ asɛm a enipa yi kan ɔboa
na
nti sɛ sɛ
o Ghana for na kasa o nim ko se law bi sa wo ho
mbadwa sɛ
me ti Ghana for na kasa bebre ko nim se ye law bi sa wo ho and
yɛwɔ
bebre
law
ko
bi wɔ
nim
hɔ
se
sɛ
law
ɛsɛ
no
wɔ
ya
biem
e say these are the shortcomings of the law say it's not public they don't know say e pe ko concerning niam e hu here na hu here e che niam say dey serious na pa national asset no
and sister fia deɛ ɛtɔ so mmienu me deɛ me bra ne bɛkaeɛ no me wo nkɔdi wo sika ma me gyina hɔ sɛ me ba bɛko ama wo saa nkɔsi adwuma no deɛ 2025 yi yɛgya yɛ o sɛ yɛkye Canada Japan ne yɛkɔwu ama no saa deɛ no yɛnyɛ biem enti sɛsɛ no woba aban mu a ɔho hwɛ so yɛ adwuma a yɛde ama wo na sɛ woyɛ ne yie a yɛbɛbɔ aba so ada adu twumɔne nam wɔ NDC foɔ koraa da so bɔ n'aba so enti sɛ wakɔ na sɛ wonim so wakɔyɛ biribi na ɛnyɛ a ɛno deɛ me MPP ni a wobɛka sɛ na yɛtaataa wɔ bi na yɛntaataa wɔ biaa yɛntaataa wɔ biaa yɛmfa atuo nkɔtee wɔ biaa me deɛ ɛyɛ me tan baako yɛ wɔn nenam a wɔn nso wɔn gyegye cars no but MPP yɛayɛ bi da nti wɔn nso wonim sɛ aban kaa wɔ hɔ a ɛntɛm na wode kɔ me yɛ anase ɔsɛbɔ nsu cars bi yɛ ana ɛyɛ me dɛ wɔsi yɛ appointew na wonim sɛ aban no na appointew wɔ a aban no gu a sɔre firi adwuma mu wɔ firi hɔ nom ntɛmɛn yeah adeɛ na aban no na appointew wɔ ɛna aban no ayɛ dɛn ɔkɔ nti sɛ aban no kɔ deɛ a ɛsɛ sɛ wo nso wokɔ a wo ne aban no yɛ dɛn ɛkɔ ayɛ sɛ aban no ama wo kaa no wɔse fa yɛ adwuma w'aban agu wote hɔnom sɛ metwɛn sɛ yɛbɛtwerɛ me lɛtɛ wotena ho na obi ba bɛpirapira wapira wo kwa deɛ adwuma no se aban no moba aban mu ne yɛde kaa ne ma wo w'aban no na ado no ankasa wakɔtena fie na wowote hɔ gaagae bɛɛ na woyɛ biem enti no me deɛ ɛnyɛ me dɛ na ɛnyɛ me fɛ na me nsusuu sɛ ebi bɛsie ɛyɛ sɛ NDC bɛka sɛ ɛna MPP ɛntumi anyɛ na wɔn mu gya aka ne ade na nka yɛnya mfasoɔ na ɛma mo sɛ mfasoɔ na nka yɛbɛtumi agya ama mo a ɛnka yɛanyɛ nka yɛntumi anyɛ ama yɛ ho ankɔyɛ yɛntumi nyɛ nti na agya moapam yɛn kyɛ sɛ moabu yɛ susuroo nti ɛka bia baabiaa no ɛyɛ NDC dea enti no sɛ fie sɛ yilevy no wantwamu a mempɛnɛ Amate. Any as a sense, woman ya kasai. No, yen to yen kaya no.
Because I don't to me stop you, I just obey you.
Nazis that via bani a car, we see a more moment. Almost so ya dear back one. None ya umko to your bondholders a ye. You know, Mujina or Mudi Jawoman. And this woman about the cars that via yen to me kaya no.
I'm all right, so I might be all right, so
yeah, na me bana me kana yika se me ma one more time. So ma one more time. Credit no jia no moje. Yeah, so ya two position no 2 months.
And credit to within the hour, ya send this budget credit.
And tinos one more jia yan so ya be wom. Because one more come on tuma. Any oba ye bonders holders for sika no my yan she say that and a scano echo yebeki anu atum. Now one person would chila yen yes say uba yena waba ye dear Stevia. So much was dear no ye prepared to water down. And sana wo ye day uba beto so.
You another What I just want to crowd have
and you know,
hey, I
almost
can
just
have
once
anyway.
yen tiasie. The chat to me, the chat to me say, NDC, the meaning is 4 years, and I could have best and woman kukuru no my man woman to me. What chili woman is a well with this can ye the beba because the uncle of why your baby ama. Yeah, that's
And I
it.
want to defend them once, more cases, won't defend them once. Mamma kind of good. I am got to that's baby, and had any yet in a kind of princess party. But was only a bit 2 months of forgetting Romeo, no, your attention, yeah, man, attention, dear. What's your apology? When ya would you be anywhere out of the apology? Oh, dear, moon, emotional comments and one I am make by other biasi. Some joining program from immigration, the antioxidant comma equia, or in a chinea boy, so a boy and more a discussion, but not Mr. James Darkon. Expert kesi why you more Germany over there your friends saying 50 years ago now they are helping the German government in transport and I think IT and a doc see done say accounting near do a professional also boy the state of California until we Ghana for we have men but say you be you show money ni asem no okay kasa bia ne obi dey say apology your brains you be but sometimes we get too emotional emotional no I said, be back, Tobo. Let's look at the issues objectively. Nay, I am more mine, and conning to aha. And that's it. Obia will join you next week. Another edition. Our job, they say a bit to me. I said, no, Obia, think a bit me emotional. But yeah, media for you, they say a paint picture natural too. But Oba has also be decent to other people, Mutieno. Being disrespectful, be no be soon disrespectful. So what I say, Obia and disrespectful, but Obana Bekan. And same be I'll just take you off. Me near that I'm no back and forth. And come do nobody pays me to do back and forth with you. We will remove you because I also respect you, be no be so respectful. But Yakobo show be to be joining here on this Alvin to me and a back, but me de make be also 2 for the chain prophet. As some now can you know by now because he your baby I must go and for that video and play the video back and back and back and back and back. Say omano wanya ye de kom ne anibre na to aba wo ye rough so a ye de kom ne anibre na ebeto aba na tia so ati asenti no ye wadwuma ye na omanfo no nto ma obio. It's all that we want. People just want peace of mind. Nkofo pa asumdie, nkofo pe good life keke wanya ni ye dia obeto no wo de tia simple and short enya asembia ti ebusu afọ mami na mu nyina masi good night. Yakobo adme besan to asa that kesen come high live radio Kings Jersey radio Naspa radio Migacho FM and okay 101.7 the main platform you're broadcasting in Dr. Father Dixon Adaro Mantina Debia Debro whether it's online or in person everywhere. Yeah, that's a good night.